sure we on. That might put that mic closer to you right there. That move, you got to move that around the way around it. Oh, that's cool right there. Ignore Manoa block. Cool. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We're getting started. We're going to let y'all climb on in here. Tina D. Shalom, shalom. Good night, Israel. Shalom, brethren. Shema Kaya Maharakal. Shalom, shalom. What's the word? Second of Nazarene, YAH'KI out of Memphis. Yahoo, what's the word, priest? I see y'all holding MELCHIZEDEK ministry banner down.
Hallelujah.
All praise. Y'all about to make Kuna lights mad. Yeah. We about to do some precepting and some definition pulling. And just use common sense as well. Also, the letters of Pontius Pilate, man. We're going to go into some of that. Get it done. Poppy
Show.
It was good fellowshipping with you. You got scared of that water, though, didn't you?
God's power.
It's all good. Much love. Much love. Action-packed weekend. Right back at it. Yaz's fit, YAH'KI. Word. Team Petty in the house. Oh, no. I guess we can't bump the table.
Don't get excited.
Oh, man. I don't know why you just set me up for failure, bro. I get to going. Fire. As I see. Y'all come on in. We're going to shout everybody out, pray in. We're going to make it happen. Share this on social media real quick. Hallelujah. Bumping some old school war. Shalom, Uncle Mally. Cool Man 8. Whoever that is, hey, shalom, nephew. I got a nephew out here called Cool Man 8, huh?
Cool Man, number 8.
Corner room. Some of my meditation music. Y'all forgive you, brother. I know what it is. Amuna Batya. Kathor Ban YAH'KI was good fellowshipping with you weekend, priest. Oh, good. Aaron Jacob, Shalom. Nuki in the building. Shalom, shalom. Ira Stevens. Y'all deep. Y'all climb on in here. Just real quick. Y'all see the topic, the history of Israelite strangers and heathens.
Heathen.
Sit on this side, bro. And the heathens. Well, me, I box you up too, right? Yeah, good. 12 tribes athletes. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yeah, man, we want to give a shout out to the brothers and sisters that came in this weekend. You did. Brothers and sisters that came on in. You know, it was a beautiful occasion. Kicked off the Pesach, Feast of Unleavened Bread, Friday night on the 19th. It was a beautiful occasion. Got up early the next morning, got everything ready down here at the headquarters, held a Feast of Unleavened Bread class.
Right. Yeah.
You feel me? And Unleavened Bread of Sincere Truth. More powerful. Got together with the brothers afterwards. They held a basketball tournament real quick. That was hilarious. A little grubbing after that, and then on the first day of the week, early in the morning, we met up at the headquarters. Went out to the Merrimack River, did some water immersions. That was even more powerful, and we finally got a chance to get some rest. Well, I know I did. I know brothers kept going. I went and laid down for a few hours. So I missed some of the festivities yesterday, but I still ate my unleavened bread, brother. You dig? And then today, man, it's been with short leggers all day. They climbing all over me like a jungle gym, you dig? And I just finished dealing with them. Back at the headquarters, time to teach. So y'all see the topic. First and foremost, all praises, glory now to the Most High Yahweh, the owner, creator, and possessor of all things. Long live his anointed,
Long live
beloved
the King.
son, in the hearts and minds of the faithful elect. Your brother Malachi Maccabee. To my left, I got my beloved brother,
YAHKI
and Yahoo, my esteemed brethren. Got YAHKI on the camera. You dig? And then we got one of our brothers that be on the comment board, Ventrius Long. I always call him Ventrius Long. I'll be butchering his name. Ventrius Long. The brother's in the flesh, right here live. He came up to the headquarters. So welcome, my brother. Our praises, all glory, all honor, man. But yeah, that's where we at. That's where we at. The lion ain't done yet. We got an artist. He should be coming up here detailing that deal in, coloring in a little taste. You see what's going on the back wall too. We got a little temple cutaways, Ark of the Covenant. You know, we working, man. Most High is definitely blessing. But we wanted to bring out a topic tonight that gets a lot of brothers caught up, a lot of sisters as well. You feel me? Sometimes you're a stranger in the scripture, and you may confuse that with a heathen, or you may confuse that with a manservant. You feel me? So we was going to go ahead and rightly divide the scriptures. You dig? We also want to go into brothers, how you can become a stranger as an Israelite living in a foreign land, or become uncircumcised if you stop dealing with the covenant of the Most High and start dealing with heathen customs. Like all this got to be brought into play, because without that, you read Jew and Gentile, like in the book of Romans, Galatians, all these different spots, and you think Jew simply means all 12 tribes of Israel. You dig? Nah, bro got it. Then Jew means all 12 tribes of Israel, and sometimes it actually means a Judean, somebody that's homeborn in Judea. You feel me? Now, all of us, as we know personally, were not born. Your voice cool, bro? Or you? I'm saying this stuff. Hey, just you can just sit on down, just throw your whatchamacallits out, or however you want to do it. But Shane, what's that? What's that by? That's that by. C5, you know, respect 5. Respect 5. Respect that 5, brother.
God sits on the throne of fire, so you know you gotta respect.
All right.
Is you?
Yeah, that's all me right there. So yeah, it's just certain things that got to be understood historically, and even when we get into certain definitions, you're gonna see that everywhere where you see stranger or sojourner, there are like 4 different definitions, man. So it just has to be understood from a historical context, a biblical context. You understand? Certain people mad because we like, well, look, we gathering amongst ourselves, right? We don't want heathens around us. I mean, we can't stop a heathen from worshiping the God of the Bible. You can do that. You can organize amongst your own and, you know, warn your heathen, your fellow heathens that the judgment is coming. You feel me? But we got every right to protect what's around us down here. This is a sanctuary. It's supposed to be holy. And even in the temple, even in the synagogue, it was like, even if you was a woman, you only can go search so far. Like, everything is in order and sectioned off. You feel me? People hear stranger today or the Gentile and automatically think Ned Flanders or your so-called white oppressors. And that's because your recent oppressor been this heathen. Mm-hmm. And then you start saying, well, you know, there's no difference between Jew and Gentile, and you really don't know the historical context or what the scriptures is really saying. You understand? Again, also we're gonna get into the Pontius Pilate, letters of Pontius Pilate, which is gonna verify everything we've been saying. I just read this the other day. I'm like, dang, he's saying everything that we've been saying based off the scripture, talking about foreign Israelites. You know what I'm saying? They still, knew who they were, but they were in foreign lands, speaking foreign tongues, dealing with foreign customs.
Born in those foreign lands.
Exactly. Born in them foreign lands, just like us. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we just gonna lay some groundwork, and this is just part 1. We're gonna do probably about 5 parts of this, just to thoroughly lay it on out, because it's scriptures that a lot of people getting caught up on. One law for you that's homeborn and one for the stranger. Well, we all was in the wilderness at that same time. So what the Most I mean for you that is homeborn and for the stranger? Who? And then on top of that, none of us that was in the wilderness were born in Israel. We were born in Egypt. So the law in its infinite wisdom has provisions. It prophesies like there's a law, Deuteronomy 17. Matter of fact, instead of talking about it, let's grab it. Let's go to Deuteronomy 17 first. 15 through 17. Then we'll get into this apocrypha. We're just gonna lay out some groundwork. Yeah, speaking of Israelite Gentiles or Israelite foreigners, you understand? And we're gonna get into it. We're gonna pull definitions, Hellenist, Grecian, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna pull all of it.
You go, yeah, I've got it, but it's my battery low.
Man, just look it up, man.
I got it. I got
Let's
my
go,
sword.
let's go to Deuteronomy 17 first. Deuteronomy 17. Let me show y'all this. Somebody be like, well, how is it that they strangers or foreigners and they haven't been scattered yet? Yeah, well, how was the law talking about a king and Moses never met Saul or David or Solomon? So even the law already was prophesying about what was going to happen. Israel eventually would a king or kings. Israel eventually would get to the point to where they scattered and a lot of us are born outside of our homeland. You feel me? So we're gonna get into that first, and then we're gonna mark it on down and just get it done. Deuteronomy 17 is where we're going first. Matter of fact, let me share this on social media.
I was just gonna
Real
send
quick.
it to me so I can send it out.
Let's get it done. Let's get it done. And this is just part one. It's gonna have to be like 5 parts. You feel me? And again, we got every right to organize amongst our own. You dig? Just like they did in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah. That's the hard line scriptures when everything was being reformed and they had to establish a government, you understand, a kingdom and all that. Ezra the 10th chapter. That men had to put away their heathen women and children. Y'all got to go.
Uh-oh.
Nobody want to talk about that. It's like, oh, well, no, brother, well, what about that? That's them hard line scriptures Negroes want to duck. You know what I'm saying? And that let you know we got every right to establish order amongst ourselves, man. And for you not to feel ashamed about it. All right, so let me share this on social media real quick, and then we can go. You got something you want to say?
Yeah, another thing we got. Excuse me, my voice. We had an excellent Passover and first day of unleavened bread, but I think I got enough voice to talk. Can y'all understand me a little bit?
Man, talk, man.
All right,
You all right?
So we got to understand. Get out our feelings first. Either it's ink on paper. We believe is the word of God true. And we got to supplement our thoughts to make it right? Or do we just say it is what it is, it says what it says, and it means what it means? If we can agree with that with the Bible, we good. All right, this is going to hurt some feelings. You want to examine your house.
It'll be all right.
You see what I'm saying? I ain't going to always say it's going to be all right, man. I mean, it's true, but everybody ain't all right. You know what I'm saying? If you got somebody that's in your house that's part of this thing we finna talk about, you gotta take hard looks. You know what I'm saying? You thinking the way you're thinking now, but that ain't the way we used to think. If we're supposed to be getting back to our culture and our ways and our understanding according to our God, you see what I'm saying? Because we talk about everybody else talking about, as soon as you tell them about this, that, and the third, first thing they say, well, what about the white man?
Yeah.
And now you're gonna find out that you as Israel still saying the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you get to
You still saying
about this,
what about the white man?
You get to talking about the love of Jacob, the heathen always come up. And you be like, dog, how come whenever we just talk about being brothers, loving each other, protecting our sisters, our wives, our children, all that. So when we get to talking about that, he always comes up. It's like, why, what about us?
Magically.
You feel me? Like, you got every right to do that, man.
And it's not racist.
It is what it is, man. So, look, let's get into this real quick. I need Deuteronomy 17. And look, this is for those that claim, well, I mean, how could the strangers you finna read about be Israelite foreigners, right? When Israel wasn't scattered as a nation yet.
Short and script.
Right, they'll ask that. Well, why is Moses writing about a king? When was Israel's first king? In history. Israel's first king was who? You know? It was King Saul. 1 Samuel, the 8th chapter, the 9th chapter, Saul, the Benjamite. He's from the tribe of Benjamin, son of Kish, right? How is Moses writing about the law of a king if he never met Saul? You feel me? Like you talking about a difference between what, 400 years? It's like 400 years from the time we left Egypt to the time Israel had its first king. It's like 400 years, man. You feel me? So why is it in the law already a provision about a king? If Moses never met Saul, and what I'm showing is that even in the law there's prophecy in the law. There's already provisions. The Most High in his infinite wisdom knew we would ask for a king. In his infinite wisdom, he knew we would be scattered and born out in strange lands and figure out who we were and start seeking Zion. He already knew that. You know what I'm saying? And see, that's the type of stuff people don't want to deal with, right? They don't really deal with that because it's going to hurt some feelings. But it is what it is, man. If you stand on the Bible, you're going to be what people call a revolutionary, right? If you're looking for ways to appease both sides, you know what I'm saying, then you're just going to be a tap dancer. And that ain't how the prophets roll. That ain't how the disciples roll, none of it. So I just wanted to read that real quick. Deuteronomy 17, just real quick, 15 through 17. Let's read that.
Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose.
Whom Yahweh thy power shall choose. That's who you set king over. Now Moses wrote Deuteronomy, right? But he's telling the Israelites, when you set a king over you, set a king over you whom Yahweh shall choose. Right? Now, how is Moses writing about this? Why is it in the law already a provision for a king if Moses never met the first king of Israel? You feel me? Moses lived 400 years before the first king of Israel. So it must have been a prophecy. Yahweh in his infinite wisdom was dealing with his prophet Moses, letting it be known, putting that law right there. When it's time for a king, you can't just choose whoever you want. All right, go ahead, Ak, let's get it.
One from among thy brethren.
One from among who?
Thy brethren.
Thy brethren. That means he got to be an Israelite. Got to be an Israelite. He can't be an Ishmaelite, an Edomite. And that's why we don't even be getting into the vote. Go vote for President Trump or Barack Obama. We don't even get into none of that. You feel me? Because the whole thing is, if you're going to choose who's going to lead or rule over this people, it got to be who the Most Highest chose. And he got to be from amongst our brethren. Period. End of story. All right, go ahead, Ak.
Shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother.
Which is not thy brother, right? So we see stranger right here, and we automatically think everywhere we see stranger that it means this type of stranger, right? There's like 4 to 5 different definitions for a stranger. That's wild, right? And you dealing with men that just deal with the Bible from an English perspective and never stop and look up the word. See, what word is that in Hebrew? All right, go ahead and read it. I know you pulled it up.
It's the Hebrew 5237. Nokri. Foreign, alien. Foreigner, foreign woman, harlot, unknown, unfamiliar. The Strongs. Strange in a variety of degrees and applications. Foreign, non-relative adulteress, different, wonderful, alien, foreigner, outlandish, strange, and woman.
Now, the crazy part about this is even if we didn't have that definition, it was clear because it said, which is not of thy brethren, right? So it ain't hard to identify that stranger even in English. One that is not of thy brethren, you can't make him king over you. Right? Now, again, Moses lived roughly 400 years before the first king of Israel, Saul. So this shows that even in the laws of the Most High, there's prophecy. Eventually, Israel would ask for a king. Because if you read 1 Samuel, the 8th chapter, when Israel told Samuel, like, we want a king because your sons are evil. Give us a king to rule over us like all the other nations. And Samuel was grieved. Most High said, don't be grieved. They ain't rejected you, they rejected me. All right, well, I'm going to get him a king. You see? But it was already in the law about a king. It was already in there. See? Is that understood so far? Everybody understand that? What about the comment board? If y'all understand that so far, throw a 7 up in the chat. Throw a 7 up in the chat. We're going to take our time with this thing. We're going to take our time with this thing. You're going to notice there's a difference between that stranger and when Israelites are called stranger, even in the Hebrew. Even in the Hebrew. You feel me? All right, so everybody understand that so far.
It's a great deal.
All praises, glory, and honor. The law prophesies, right? Again, it would have to be a prophecy, right? Now let's keep reading because it's going to be this prophecy here, this law here is about a specific king that we talking about. Go ahead, Ak.
But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses. For as so much as the Most High has said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself.
Yeah, when you look the word multiply up in that verse, it's gonna say rabbah in Hebrew. It don't mean a man can have more than one woman or a king can't, because all them kings had more than one wife. It just means you wasn't supposed to have too many of them. All right, so in the history of Israel, what king had too many women? Solomon. Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Foreign women at that too. And they turned his heart.
Not of thy brethren.
Now trip off this. Rabbah, right? Look up that multiply, because some people say, well, that means a king can't have more than one wife. David was not damned or said he was sinning because he had more than one wife. Saul either, right? Solomon was the one that had too many. Rabbah means exceedingly. You heard today, he told you when you first came in, Todah Rabbah means thank you what? Very much or exceedingly. If that's the case, I only can tell you thank you one time. I only say Todah Rabbah one time. See, people read this Bible in English and they don't understand the language. And they hear about brothers having more than one woman and be like, out there, even a king could not have more than one woman. That didn't say that. You understand? It said multiply. Like be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. It's the same word, rabbah. Meaning multiply exceedingly, right? What the definition say?
The BDB. Be or become great. Be or become many. Be or become much. Be or become numerous.
Be or become many, great, numerous, or much. You see? Meaning you got too many. They asking what you got dangling from your beard, boy. Yeah, what is that?
Balls.
Y'all be all right.
You got some beef. You got some beef.
Mind your business and listen to the scriptures.
You understand the spirit, man. Dude said, I can't take it.
Israel, boy.
Y'all go ahead and joke on me. I'm gonna see you one day, dude.
All right. So what else to say though?
To become many, become numerous, multiply,
come on,
of people, animal, and things. To make large, enlarge, increase, become many. To make much, make many.
That's basically
have many.
That's basically what we're saying. Meaning you got too many of them, right? Not meaning a king can have more than one, because that means David would have been a sinner for having more than one. David sinned because he took a man's woman. Yeah. Most High actually told him, I'd have gave you more if you asked me. You just didn't have to take his.
But all you gotta do is go back up to verse 16 and it says, but he shall not multiply horses to himself. So does that mean he can only have one horse?
Exactly. Ooh. Or one shekel of gold. You know what I'm saying? Once you really get into it and just put your common sense to it, you be like, oh, okay, that's what it's saying. You see what I'm saying? But the whole point of us going here was to show that in the law there's prophecy about things that would unfold in Israel. The same with him that is homeborn in the land and him that is a stranger born outside the land. Because all of us, like, are we Israelites? Wasn't none of us born in Israel.
Right.
You feel me? The whole multitude that came out of Egypt, none of them was born in Israel. So they weren't homeborn. So we dealing with prophecy. We dealing with the law that understood that there will be homeborn Israelites and there will be Israelites born outside of Israel that would travel home for high holy days or something like that. You understand? So that's why I wanted to go there. Was you done with verse 17?
No.
Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests, the Levites.
See, so again, we didn't have a king to 400 years after this. But the law was already there for when we had asked for a king, all right, well, this is how he's going to have to be. You got to be from amongst your brethren. He can't have too many horses. He can't have too much gold. He can't have too many women. And he better write out, you understand, this book of the law before the Levites. If that's understood so far, go ahead and throw a 7 up in that deal. Throw a 7 up in the chat. All right. After this, we about to go into when Israel, whether they Southern Kingdom Israelites or Northern Kingdom Israelites, start becoming heathens.
Oh. 1 minute.
And then we're gonna get into we're gonna get into this letters of Pontius Pilate that he wrote himself, right? Written during his governorship of Judea to his friend Seneca in Rome. The man that crucified the Messiah, Pilate, well, this book full of his letters. And when we read and heard about who he calls certain type of Jews and the distinction between them and their brethren that live in Judea, when we read Acts the 2nd chapter, it's gonna open up. You're gonna see, that makes sense, right? Then we're gonna go into the law and show stranger, not that definition he just read for stranger, right? A total different definition, right? And that applies to the Israelites. Oh, wait. Right, everybody getting some understanding. That's all praises. And this is very important, y'all, because once again, people are pulling scriptures and condoning, whether it be interracial marriages, which we don't condone. It did, because the scripture tell us to stay amongst ourselves. Even when you get into the time of Nehemiah and Ezra, they had to establish order. They was coming out of captivity. They went back home to Israel. Things had to be established. And you got all this confusion coming up and popping up in the play. You dig? Now we at the end of our sojourn in her, being strangers in a strange land. I sojourn in her, and you got Nick Rose Mag as we establish an order. Right? Again, we ain't got no authority to tell any other nation they can't serve our God, but we congregate amongst ourselves. And we got every right to. You understand? We got every right to establish order. I mean, get to the point where certain men saying certain Israelites can't come amongst them. What you mad at us for saying heathens can't come around us? What are you mad for?
Say that one more time.
It's certain men mumble mouthing and catfishing saying that certain Israelites can't come around them.
Conscious Israelites, right?
Conscious men that keep the commandments and believe and follow the teachings of Messiah.
Okay. Like
these are men that are considered brethren, right? They can't come around you, but a booty scratching heathen can. Picking his nose all over there in your food. About to walk in the woman's bathroom. Sitting next to your wife right there in the congregation.
Smell like a wet dog.
No, you can't come up in there. We got every right to do that. Right? And there are believing heathens. Organize amongst your own and let your people know the judgment is coming. And if you want to support, the P.O. box is in the description box. And me personally, I believe the white man needs to sit his ass down somewhere. He always trying to join something and infiltrate something. Why we can't do our own thing? We got every right to. Like he just feels like, look, it's bad enough he's every damn body. That ain't good enough. I mean, come on, he's an Arab today. He's a Jew. You feel me? He's Tarzan, Superman, Batman, Iron Man, Colombian, Afghan. He's everybody. Let him tell it. He's everybody.
Mighty ISIS.
You know, the last Prince of Persia, the last Mohican.
Aladdin.
Exactly. Aladdin. Jesus. I mean, they are Peter, Moses, Ramses. He's everybody. So me personally, I believe he needs to sit down somewhere. And that's just me speaking as a man, because he already done infiltrated everybody's culture and took over. How you think he do that? You allow him around. And then he just take over like it's his. You see, so we got every right to do that, man. Just what it is. People don't like it, so what? So what? What are we supposed to get angry for? You know what I'm saying? It's just we got every right to do this, and we're going to do it. All right. Did you have something you want to go into? You cool?
We'll hit this. Well, I don't know. We'll hit it.
Okay, give me. I just want to show the difference. Give me Exodus 20 and 10 real quick.
Yes.
Exodus 20 and 10. Exodus 20 and 10. So far, we see there's provisions. What you say, Mahal? The white man.
White.
The white man. I'm just saying, it's what it is, man. He need to go sit down somewhere. And when you done talking, the prophecies of the coming kingdom, let it be known that the heathens are going in chains, man. They are going in chains. The ones that's left are going to be bondmen, bond servants, basically. Right? People want to say, people don't want to say the one word to start with an S, so they just want to say a servant.
Slave.
You don't want to say, call it for what it is. We talking about slaves. You understand? And when we get into Leviticus 25, we're going to see the difference. We're about to see the difference right here in Exodus 20 and 10. There's a difference between the stranger that dwells among you than your manservant and your maidservant. It's just true, man. Right? So then when we're going to go on to Romans a little taste. And look, we're going to slow kill this thing, y'all. We're just going to slow kill it. This is just going to be part 1 today. You feel me? Then we're going to get into part 2, part 3, maybe 4 and 5. It's just what it is. All right. All right. Y'all let me know when it's 10 o'clock too, so we can get our prayer off. What time it is? It's only 9 o'clock. All right. Come on, Hebrew. Let's get it. We're going to address, probably not in this part, but we're going to probably in part 2. We're going to address Romans, the 11th chapter 2. Another scripture that's butchered. You know what I'm saying? Go into the wild olive tree and branches that are broken off. They can be grafted in again. What do you mean? The word again is there. What do you mean again? Right? How can you graft an orange tree into an apple tree?
You can't.
It don't make sense. Like, what are you talking about? But then where did Paul even get the concept of grafting in broken off branches? He was dealing with the book of Jeremiah. Paul didn't just make this up out of his own mind. That's already, it was already concept in Israel, man. And as we read slowly, we're going to see what it is.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 10.
And we'll get in Isaiah 56 on one of these parts as well. But even with that, when you look it up, it's just going into the heathens, you understand, that are your servants or your slaves, right? Better a slave than in the lake of fire. I mean, that's it. That's it. Better a slave than in the lake of fire. You dig? Because a lot of us ain't going to make it. A lot of our people are going to miss the mark. So you rather be a heathen slave, you dig, that made it, than an Israelite that made it to the lake of fire. I mean, keep it simple. It ain't even that hard. And the Most High bless you, Solomon McFadden. We'll get in Isaiah 56 on one of these parts. We're going to slow kill this thing, though, y'all. You got to with a topic like this.
Please have pen and paper.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 20 and 10. It was good chopping it up with you, Solomon McFadden. You and your family.
That's right. That's right.
You and your family this weekend, brother. And y'all be blessed beyond measure.
Excellent, right, brother, man. Willing to help, jumped right in, asked no questions. Him and his son.
Exodus 20 and 10. Let's get it.
But the 7th day is a Shabbat of your master thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant.
Hold on, thy who?
Thy manservant.
Please look that definition up for me. Now we dealing with the Shabbat, right? Now you as a family, now remember, we writing this in Exodus. We ain't even made it to Israel yet. We ain't even established and set up in our kingdom, right? We just left slavery ourselves, right? So what men servants and maid servants and strangers we got dwelling amongst us? See, it's prophecy in the law, right? We read this thing so fast, you understand? And we got to act like we got to really slow down, start pulling these definitions up. What is a manservant? What does it say?
Manservant. Ebed.
Or Obed. Where you get Obadiah from. Servant or slave of Yah. Obed, the father of Jesse, the father of David. Obed means servant or slave, right? Now, you got Paul in the New Testament saying, I'm a bondservant to the Messiah. He owns me.
Obed.
Right? Obed or Obadiah, you saying that Yah owns you. Okay? Now, a manservant is Obed. Now, what's the definition?
Slave,
who? A slave, comma,
servant,
then a servant,
comma.
That's the same thing. It's a slave. There's a difference between your manservant and the stranger that sojourns amongst you.
That's what I'm saying.
Do y'all understand that so far? Read it. Go ahead and read it on out there.
Manservant, subjects, servants, worshipers of God, servant, in special sense as prophets, Levites, etc.
No doubt. Those are Lord.
Servant of Israel, servant as a form of address between equals. Strong's definition: bondage, a servant, bondman, bondservant, manservant.
Read that again. Exodus 20 and 10. What does it say?
But the 7th day is the Shabbat of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant.
That's a female slave. Go ahead.
Nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gate.
Now look the stranger up. What's the stranger?
Write this down. If somebody type it in the room. H1616. Gar here. What's it?
Let's say Gar.
Gar. Sojourner.
Who?
Sojourner. A temporary inhabitant.
A temporary inhabitant. That's somebody that either you done hired to work for you, that's a foreigner, or that's a brother of yours that fell poor and you had to strengthen them up. You feel me? Or that's a brother and his family traveling to Israel for the feast days that don't live in Israel, but travel to Israel or Jerusalem so they can keep the feast.
Just like
that's not a slave. The stranger is not a slave. Your slaves were bought with money. And you got brothers and heathens up in the feast days and all that. Ain't none of y'all bought these heathens. Ain't none of y'all bought or purchased them as slaves. Ain't no power of attorney papers been handed over.
Ain't nothing on record or recorded deeds.
What you mean? So there's a difference between the manservant and the stranger, the temporary inhabitant that dwells among you. If that's understood, do y'all understand that? Are we making any of this up? No. Is the word for manservant and stranger two different words?
Two different words.
They're two different words. If y'all understand that so far, please put a 7 up in the chat. We're going to slow roll it. We're not going to tap dance. We're not going to play around. We're going to slow roll this whole thing. So y'all can get the understanding.
Manservant is H5650. Maidservant, H519. Stranger, H1616. And notice, it wasn't the same stranger in Deuteronomy. Ain't the same word in Hebrew and not the same definition. And that was Hebrew H237. My fault. H5237.
Yeah, you got your men servant and maid servant. That's a man slave and a female slave. Slaves that you actually purchase with money, right? A stranger is a temporary inhabitant that would dwell among you for a few reasons. Either he's a brethren and his family that would travel to Jerusalem because they were born outside Jerusalem but knew they were Israelites, and they would travel to Jerusalem to keep the high holy days. Guess where they would have to stay? With brothers that live there. Okay, they will be considered strangers. And look, we're not just talking. We about to pull this. Or it could be a brother that fell poor around you, and it was your job to strengthen him. You understand? You couldn't lend him your money on usury. You couldn't, in other words, put interest on the money you lent out to him. For him, you couldn't put interest on the food you lent out to him. It was your job to strengthen up your brethren, but he could not be a bond servant or a slave to you. If you wanted a slave, you had to purchase them from the heathens round about you, but not your brethren. See, there's a difference between a manservant, maidservant, and a stranger. One that is homeborn in the land and one that was born outside the land. Brothers pulling scriptures like one law for you and for the stranger. Well, hold on. This was written in the wilderness. And wasn't none of them born in Israel.
You still in tabernacles and tents.
So are we lying? Well, let's get into this. Look, it's on and cracking. You feel me? And then we're going to take our time and go from the Old Testament on up to the New Testament. You're going to see, okay, now this is making sense who Paul was writing to. You understand? Now it's making sense what really is happening, because when you're done talking, when our people say, see, this is crazy. The heathen know we have woke up to who we are. So now their favorite script, they know we the Israelites. So now their favorite scriptures are, there is no Jew, there is no Greek. Right? And you got, and look, because in the Negro mind, the Negro's mind, when he says no Jew or no Gentile or Greek, he automatically think white man. Because the white man been kicking our ass these past 400 years. God forbid he ain't even talking about him, huh? What if he's not even talking about your slave master? Right? Like that don't even come across brothers' minds. Like, oh, these scriptures ain't going nowhere. You're right, they're not. You're right, and we're gonna deal with these definitions and everything.
understanding.
And when we understand what's really being said, you're going to understand, like, look, we got every right to organize amongst ourselves. And you should be doing that, Zion. You feel me? The scriptures tell you it's the prophecy. The prophecy in Isaiah 13. It says everybody's going to turn to his own people and flee to his own land. It don't matter how many good Arab friends you have, or white friends you have, or Chinese friends you have. You dig? When you're done talking, everybody, Most High, separate nations. He did that for a reason. You dig? Everybody gonna come to gonna gather to themselves. And everybody got to flee back to their own land. That's the end game of this thing. All right. So, all right, let's go to next.
We ain't finished, y'all. We need to get this definition all the way out.
Okay, go ahead.
We still on H1616. Sojourner, a temporary inhabitant, a newcomer, lacking inherited rights, or what you call citizenship today.
Lacking citizenship. Because why? Because he could be an Israelite not born in Israel.
That's right.
Considered a stranger. We're not lying. This thing is real.
I'm looking at that definition. Here go the other definition that's going to blow your mind. Of foreigners in Israel, though conceded rights.
I would say of foreigners in Israel.
Right.
So Israelites can be foreigners?
And aliens and sojourners.
Yeah. Yeah. But you like, well, that definition don't really mean that. See, that's your next. We already know where you're going. The next definition, we know the doctrine. We know the scriptures men pull to justify land or marrying heathens. We already know it. Like you're not gonna be able to get this off on us. Like we don't know the doctrine. Like we've been seduced. No, it's simply is going into the scriptures and pulling out definitions. You feel me? That's why it's good to get into the Hebrew. It's good to get into when you study the New Testament. Look the words up in the Greek too. What you mean the Greek concordance? The Greeks? If you don't know by now, so-called black people invented the Greek language. It's called Koine Greek. You understand? Like if you ain't figured that out by now, if you ain't figured out that it was the Septuagint, which is the Israelite Torah and Tanakh, was translated by 70 Israelites from Hebrew into Greek. That's history when the Greeks took us over. How do we translate our language from Hebrew into Greek and we didn't know Greek? If you don't know that by now, then again, I mean, your level of understanding, you feel me, is withering away. There's a lot of understanding that our people are missing. You feel me? Because they leaving out history, they leaving out context, they leaving out a whole bunch of stuff, man. All right. So let's get into this, man. Was you done with that?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Leviticus next. Leviticus 25. Leviticus 25 is where we're going next. We're going to read Leviticus 25, 35 through 44. Then we're going to go and show you when Israel, the southern kingdom, went off and became uncircumcised, and when the northern kingdom went off and became uncircumcised. Then we're going to show you an Israelite in a foreign land that called himself a stranger. Oh, now in Houston, we have a problem here. It is what it is. It is what it is. You got it? Yeah. Let's get it. Leviticus 25 and read 35 to 44. Oh, man, these definitions, man. Man, come on, let's get it.
Leviticus 25, verse 35.
Hold on, bro. Say Zechariah Malachi say there's a book written by heathens called Black Athena, where they admit that it was so-called black folks that came up with the Greek language.
What is it called?
Black Athena. He just put it up in the chat. Man, we ain't making none of this up. You feel me? He's out there. What I would look like going into a Greek concordance. You Greeks. You don't know we native to everywhere, man. Israelites, we native to everywhere. Everything been stolen from us.
They probably some sorority group anyway.
Yep. All right, let's get her done.
Verse 35.
First 4 words.
And if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee.
Hold on. If your brother be what? What did it say?
Waxen poor.
If your brother been waxing poor. Who was the brother in there? Who's the brother? This is Leviticus, the book to the Levites. Even if we didn't have a we're going to put a definition. But even if we didn't have that. We read in Deuteronomy 17, you know, the king got to be from amongst your brethren. not of thy people, right? We had read that. So even if we didn't have this definition, basic common sense will let you know the brother would have to be an Israelite. Would have to be, right? But for y'all's sake, we're going to read the definition. This is about a brother that has turned or waxen poor. Now, always remember this too. We are still in the wilderness at this point. Walking in circles for 40 years. We ain't even made it into the land and conquered nothing and got our lands of our proper lands of inheritance for this to even play out yet. More prophecy in the law of the Most High about a future condition of Israel. Just like the king should not multiply this and all that, gold, horses, women. To multiply mean too many, right? But the first king didn't come to 400 years after Moses. We all understood that, all right? Now, this is a situation about once we get into our land and everybody got their rightful inheritance. How do I know? Because you go back up to verse 1. This is about the law of Jubilee. Leviticus, the 25th chapter. After 50 years, everybody must return to their rightful inheritance. And if you want a slave, you got to buy them from heathens. That's what this chapter is about. Not from your brethren that had waxed poor or turned poor.
Are you making your slave?
All right, come on, Hebrew, let's get it.
And if thy brother be waxing poor,
Yeah.
and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yea, thou, though he be a stranger.
Oh, though he be a what?
A stranger.
Wow. Do y'all see that right there? Though he be a stranger, come on.
Or a sojourner, that he may live with thee.
That right there say your brother, an Israelite, can be considered a stranger. Or a sojourner. Do y'all see that? Wow. On the comment board, do y'all see that? If y'all look, if somebody go, well, how can an Israelite be a stranger? That's the next look. We know exactly where you're going with this thing because we know the doctrine. That's what you're going to ask. Well, how can an Israelite be considered a stranger? No, y'all done heard that before. I know you done heard that before. How can an Israelite be a stranger?
And at this time, we just come out of Egypt, so they ain't talking about none of them.
They can't be talking about none of them. Showing you there's prophecy in the law about brothers waxing poor. You understand? Brothers, you know what I'm saying, living outside of Israel. All type of different situations, right? Just like with the king, the prophecy of Solomon in Deuteronomy 17 chapter. Oh, wait. Can you please read that again? And he's going to pull the definition. Read that one more time.
And if thy brother be waxing poor.
Yeah.
And fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so an Israelite brother can be considered a stranger according to the law. And the law is prophesying about a brother waxing poor, and your job is to strengthen him or relieve him, even though he's a stranger. Oh, wait. Now, you want to pull these definitions, brother?
Brother.
Ak.
Now,
y'all always say Ak. Hey, Shalom, Ak. Y'all be talking about heathens when you say Ak? No, you don't.
Ak is H251. H251 means brother. Brother of same parents.
Brother of who?
Same parents.
This is talking about Israelites. I don't even know how you can get that from anything else. Of same parents. Come on.
A stranger is a brother.
I know. Yeah.
Which is half brother, same father. This stranger is a relative, kinship, same tribe.
Do y'all hear that? So you can be of the same tribe and still be considered a stranger? A relative and still be considered a stranger? A kinsman and still be considered a stranger?
Uh-oh, is it starting to open?
Brother that ain't got, just got the same father but different mamas and still be considered a stranger.
Or the same parents.
Or the same parents. Wow. Really? Really? Okay.
Even as it says in E, it says figuratively, it still says a resemblance. So even if you're figuratively talking about it, you know, just playing with it, it's still of the same resemblance. You can't get that with Esau like that, or these other nations like that. Still, brother, used in the widest sense of literal relationship and metaphorically in affinity or resemblance. So even metaphor, still resemblance, widest sense, literal relationship.
Yeah, brother. All right, go to the next definition. So this is a brother, right? Kinsman, relative, half brother, same parents, or however you want to play it, brother.
I think we need a
Right.
7 out of that.
Say what?
I think we need to get a 7, make sure they understand.
Okay. Well, y'all give NehemiYAH. I want y'all to put a 7 up in there. Make sure y'all understand the definition of brother. Go to the next one.
Is stranger again?
Stranger. Yeah, it's stranger.
Stranger again.
What definition is that, brother?
H16:16.
There go that stranger.
Same
again.
one in Exodus.
Gar or Ger that we read about. Same one in Exodus 20 and 10.
And which says brother.
Well, read it. Just read it.
Sojourner. Temporary inhabitant. So your brother could be a temporary inhabitant of the same mother, father, or tribe. Could be a newcomer lacking inheriting rights.
Because he don't have citizenship because he wasn't born in the land. He was born outside the land. But he's still family.
Can I put it in layman's terms?
No.
You can't get food stamps in Missouri and then move to Milwaukee and think you can get food stamps. First thing they're gonna ask you, did you get food stamps in another state? Because you don't have rights in this state until you abandon the rights of that state. Make sense? All right. Of foreigners in Israel.
Hey, Jeremiah, please say the Yah. Holla at my heart call, bro. We gonna bring you through. You all good. We already didn't discuss thou. Just come on with it.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. So a brother can be considered a stranger. An Israelite can be considered a stranger or a sojourner. Right? So how can an Israelite be that? Read the law. That's all you got to do. You read it, you'll see. Dang. Okay.
They don't say where it said in the law. Now you can take them there.
Now you can take them there.
Be writing this down, y'all.
All right. So Leviticus 25. Read that 35 again. We read down to 44. Let's get it.
And if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him, yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee.
Your job is to strengthen them up. That was in the law for us. If our brother, any one of these brothers wax poor, and I got money to loan them and food to feed them and all that, I couldn't loan it out to them on interest. My job was to strengthen him up because he's a brother. All right? Even though he's considered a stranger. Come on, let's get it.
So it makes sense when it says the stranger within thy gates.
Yeah.
Because if you listen, because you're not gonna let no pagan, Persian, or Syrian or Greek walk past your front porch and invite him in your house. Now we can see it with better eyes, right? So when it talks about the stranger within our gates, and the reason why it should make understanding, because that stranger is of your own nation.
Exactly. But
you're not finna invite a Greek. He's talking about Ishtar and all that stuff like that up in your crib.
Yeah, you'll see once we get to Acts 2 who the book of Romans was written to, who the book of Galatians was written to, right? All the believers that heard them tongues fall on those Galileans or those Israelites that were in Jerusalem for Pentecost. They heard the gospel about Messiah and went back to their respective lands. And guess what got to happen now? Letters got to go out to them on how they're supposed to conduct themselves as believers. Yes.
Born in other lands.
Other countries that they were born to, but that does not make them product of it. Don't make them was Israelites born there, just like I am a Hebrew Israelite born in America.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just now learning our tongue back.
And look, and hopefully next feast day we gonna be where?
Yeah.
Jerusalem,
as strangers.
And you would be a stranger.
And sleeping among
wow. The brothers that lived there. That's right.
So now it makes sense now.
Yeah. Now you can read Paul's letters and not be nervous. You're like, dang, what's he talking about?
They're gonna shake it like a
You know what I'm
strip.
saying? I gotta go sit with the client. I gotta let the KKK David Duke in here, huh? No. This ain't what this is talking about. All right, come on, let's get it.
Verse 36. Take thou no usury of him, or increase, but fear thy Elohim, that thy brother may live with thee. Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury.
Upon increase or usury, right? Go ahead.
Nor lend him thy victuals for increase. I am your master.
No, Sean Chaney, I don't study first century church fathers like Marcion and them. The hell with all them. I study the Bible. So if that's what you want to hang on to, hey, this is not the place for thou. Get to stepping. We study the Bible, not first century church father heathens that were compromised, such as Marcion. All right, we study what's in the scripture. All right, let's roll.
I am the master, your power, which brought you forth out of the land of Mizraim to give you the land of Canaan and to be your Elohim.
Come on.
And if thy brother,
yeah,
that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor,
there it go again. Go ahead.
And be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant.
Now you understand, right?
That makes sense.
Feel me? Like, I ain't waxing poor. You basically got to take him in. He should not serve you as a slave. It's the difference between a heathen and a stranger that sojourneth with you. There's a big difference, man.
Can I see something?
Of course, bro. Of course.
Also, y'all notice this. This is true brotherhood. So your brother had waxed poor, right? But you purchase your brother back, but you don't work him as a slave.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? He just give you back what you had basically broke off to set him free. You see what I'm saying? You my brother. I'm not finna run you like Israel, not man serving, maid serving, and bond serving. You know what I'm saying? And bond woman, bond man to their own tribes. Straight up.
It is what it is. All right, come on, bro. Let's get it.
Leviticus 25, verse 40. But as an hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with thee.
As a hired servant, or what they call in America, an indentured servant. You know what I'm saying? And the indentured servant was not us. We were bondmen. Bondwomen. We was in bondage.
It's different.
You understand? An indentured servant would have been a heathen, another heathen, but he didn't have the same status as the slave master. But he wasn't treated like us. Total difference. All right, go ahead.
And as a sojourner, he shall be with thee, and shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee.
Jubilee is that 50-year release. You know what I'm saying? The cycles of 50. There's a book called Jubilees too, but it's cycles of 50. Let me see that pen over there. Go ahead, Hebrew.
And then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him.
He and his children get to go, because he's a brethren.
And he's
right? Come on, Doc.
And shall return unto his own family, and unto the possession of his fathers shall he return.
Possession of his fathers, right? We all got a possession in Israel. All right, what verse you in?
42.
Come on. Come on out.
For they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt.
Yeah.
They shall not be sold as bondmen.
Do y'all hear that? We serve the Most High, right? Dealing with each other, we should not be sold as bondmen
to each other.
Right, to each other. We're not supposed to be doing that. Total difference than the stranger that's sojourning with you and a man servant. YAH'KI, you got something out? Right, exactly. Come on, let's get it. Let's get it.
Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shall fear thy Elohim.
Yeah, so we can't work him hard. We're not to work each other hard. And the crazy part about it is We actually started breaking this law right before the Babylonians took us down. We was oppressing one another and all that, man. You dig? We actually was acting worse than some of these heathens. Yeah, oppressing one another and all that. To the year of Jubilee, supposed to be the year of release. You done released your brothers and then went and hunted them down. Oh, and made them come back. That's in the book of Jeremiah. Violating the law. All right, go ahead, Doc. May the Most High bless you, Lanita Miller, Solomon McFadden, and everybody else, man, for your generous prayers and your generous donations. Hallelujah. All right, come on, Doc.
Verse 44. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen.
Shall be of the who?
Of the heathen.
The heathen, come on.
That are round about you. Of them shall you buy bondmen and bondmaids.
That's it for that. Is that clear? Huh? Your brother can be considered a stranger to dwell amongst you because he didn't fell on hard times. You can't lend your money out to him on usury, right? Your food to him on usury. You can't work him with rigor, which means you can't work him as a slave. You should treat him as a hired servant, right? If you want you some bondmen and bondwomen, you got to go buy them from who? The heathens.
And it shall be of thee.
Is that clear? If that's clear cut, please put a 9 up in the chat. If that's clear cut, put a 9. And we're not making this up. We just read Israelites can be considered strangers dwelling among you. And that was just one example on how. All right. Next scripture we're going to go to, if you want to look up the definition of heathen, you can. Next scripture we're going to go to is Exodus 2, 21 through 22. They say it's 9. It's clear. It's clear. Clear. All praise to Glenn. Y'all, this is just part 1. We probably got, I was going to say 5 parts. We probably got about a 10-part series on this. Because there's so much deception. There's so much winging. A lot of this, we're going to start calling certain of these Negroes the circus. What did the circus talk about today? Because it's a show, man. It's a show. And you start seeing, okay, I start seeing why certain people are talking down on the Hebrew language and learning the Greek language. I can see why certain men are talking down on us establishing order and not allowing no heathens around us. I can see why that's a problem. The only person that got a problem with order are those that's out of order. And you don't want to take the hard line stance and establish.
You don't want to lose that money. You just like church.
Yeah. You don't want to establish what it is. All right. All right.
Look, let's keep it real, man. Thou shalt have slaves, but they shall be of the heathen. Heathen is H1, 4, 7. Again, H1, 4, 7. Definition 1, nation or people. A, nation, people, wait for it, usually of non-Hebrew people.
Wow. Wow.
Right? Of descendants of Abraham or of Israel, of swarms of locusts or other animals, goyim, nations.
Those are called locusts and animals. And then you got Daniel that had the division of all the nations outside of Israel, and they were compared to beasts, animals. That's just what it is. You want to finish it off?
A foreign nation. There you go, a foreign nation. Hence a Gentile. A troop of animals. Or a flight of locusts. Gentile, heathen, nation people.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Exodus 2, 21 through 22. Now, this is an example. We got one example so far of a brother being called a stranger. He done wax poor, and the brother got to take care of him and build him back up. That was what we just went over in Leviticus 25. There's a difference between him and the bondman or bondwoman that you got to buy from heathens, non-Hebrews, right? Of those people, you understand, you buying those people, you purchase them. It's like, I mean, you know, slave auctions. They had those, right? Other nations still practice this thing. They go into the Bible and use it against us. Ain't that something? They using our laws against us because we turned against our power. All right. All right. So I need Exodus 2. This is another example on how Israelite can be considered a stranger. Exodus 2, 21 and 22.
And Moses was content to dwell with the man. And he gave Moses Zipporah, his daughter. And she bare him a son, and called his name Gershom. For he said, I have been a stranger.
I have been a what?
I have been a stranger in a strange land.
Now, was Moses a Midianite? Moses was a what? From what tribe? Tribe of Levi. Right? Now, because he was living in a foreign land, he was considered a stranger. And that's why he named his son Gershom. Can you look that stranger up for us? I wonder what definition is this?
H2.
A stranger in a strange land.
H237. H52.
Go back. A stranger, he named his son Gershom. Right here. Stranger.
Oh.
He going off.
My bad. It's the other one. H1616. H1616. Guard. Sojourner. A temporary inhabitant. A newcomer lacking inherited rights. A foreigners in Israel. Foreigners in Israel. So conceded rights. Properly a guest, by implication a foreigner, alien, sojourner, stranger.
Y'all see that Moses was an Israelite from the tribe of Levi, but being he was in a foreign land, he was considered a stranger. That's why he named his son Gershom, the Hebrew word ger or gor, right? So far, we seeing this word apply to Israelites. It's the same word in Leviticus 25 and 35. Your brother became a stranger, a gor. Those are two witnesses so far, right? Of Israelites being considered a stranger. Yeah. So now the creative juices are flowing. What I want to go to next, y'all, if you can zoom in on this, YAH'KI, if you can, zoom in on this real quick. This right here. It's called The Letters of Pontius Pilate. And the crazy thing about it, somebody sent me this book. You feel me? And I believe he didn't know what was in it because I know how he feel about white folks. He kind of love heathens. He did. I'm like, he couldn't have known what was in this. The Letters of Pontius Pilate, written during his governorship of Judea to his friend Seneca in Rome. Now see that? Edited by W.P. Crozier. The back of this says, these letters represent the times of Jesus with some of the principal events of his life from a new viewpoint, that of the Roman governor Pontius Pilate. History has pictured Pilate as in some respects a good governor, anxious to serve his imperial master faithfully, and even so far as possible to conciliate those who were placed in his care. In these letters, Pilate described the events of his governorship, his impressions, his policies, his difficulties in dealing with the Jews. And then they go into the Messiah being a problem to the establishment as well. All right. So it is what it is. Now on page, I found something interesting because I was looking up this right before we did the political assassination of the revolutionary Messiah, right? So I was reading it. I flipped right to the chapter that said "Arrest of Jesus," page 161. All right. Now this was amazing to me. So I did not expect to find this. So if you can, y'all can read everything, read this whole thing from here. It's underlined all the way down to where I stopped underlining right there. If you can, brother. Page 161.
Page 161, arrest of YAHUDAHS.
Judah Moshe got this deal. He already know. He ordered it. It came the next day. You know what I'm saying? That deal was like $13. All right. So look, let's get this.
You know, I'm sure I have told you this before, that when the Passover is finished, and a large part of the foreign Jews.
The what Jews?
And a large part of the foreign Jews.
A large part of the foreign Jews. Go ahead.
Troop back to the coast on their way home.
Troop back to the coast on their way where?
Home.
So that means they live outside of Jerusalem. They live out. That means they live outside of Jerusalem. Y'all see that? He's saying this is Pilate. He talking to his friend in Rome about foreign Jews after they are leaving Passover on their way back home outside of Israel. Go ahead.
I hold games in Caesarea for several days. It is a relaxation for me as well as for them. And it is good for trade. Do you ask whether they come to my games? Of course they come. They are not Pharisees.
They are not Pharisees. So these foreign Jews are not Pharisees, right? These are men that were born in lands outside of Israel that would come to Israel for feast days. They're considered foreigners. You see? So not just because you a brother that waxed poor and a brother got to strengthen you up, or you just so happen to find yourself in a strange land and call yourself a stranger. But even if you are a conscious Israelite, involved in customs of any strange land because you was born there, whenever you came back to Jerusalem for the high holy days, you were considered foreign. Now on your way back to whatever spot you came from, Pilate would host games, you know, the little Roman games where you got all your gladiator sports and all that, right? And he was like, so he asked, his friend would ask, well, do the Jews come to your games? He said, of course they come. They're not Pharisees, right? So showing you that even though they come to Israel for the feast, they still got different doctrines and understanding. They still keeping the feast. They got different languages. They got different customs. But guess what? They at least would still come back. Even though they were Greeks or whatever, they still would come back to Jerusalem for the high holy days. And it was showing you that they speak different and have different customs because the Pharisees wouldn't come to the game. Showing you that these foreign Jews are into what? Greek and Roman customs. Yeah, go ahead.
See, check this out, y'all. And listen, you can't say we're making this up either. I'm going to tell you why. We spent 400 years, not 400, let me stand corrected. We was under hard bondage in Egypt. We came in as friends and free, 70 souls. And we multiplied. We was there in bondage for about, I forget if it's 216 or 261, according to the book of Jasher, right? So when you understand that, we spent no more time than 350 years there. The reason why you have to be taken out of Egypt and re-taught Torah is because when you spend that much time in a foreign land, you speak and become as the people you are around. Look at the so-called Negro today. Everything he is American. That's you true. Keep their Christmas, you keep their Thanksgiving.
Stop doing that.
My fault. Yeah. You keep their Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, everything that this country does, you do. So it makes more sense when we read Pontius Pilate saying, sure, they'll keep the games. They're not like their Pharisaic brothers who are Torah bound and strong.
That's right.
These guys are whim of anything that flows. But even with different doctrines, different languages, and different understandings, I want you to get this. We still kept feast and the laws together.
Right.
No way.
3 feasts we had to come and keep: Sukkot, Pentecost, and Pesach. So stop it with that. That man don't believe like I believe. I can't deal with him. That's why you Israelites are broken apart and we weak. Because these were other speakers. You wouldn't even understand what they were saying if they walked up to you. You can't even understand a Rastafarian half the time.
Sure can't.
And most of them believe in Jah. You know what I'm saying? And with that, Selassie stuff. But we can chop that up.
Yeah. Come on, let's finish this up. I want to stay with the thought here. There's a major league thought. He just made a distinction between foreign Jews and Pharisees, Torah bound.
Tore bound.
right? Who was like, oh, hell no, we're not getting down with these Greeks. And that's showing you that these foreign Jews were into different customs. Totally different customs. All right.
Just like Paul was a Pharisee, so you can understand, get a picture in your mind how hardcore Tory he was.
Yeah.
And when he called it an error of heresy, it was over your head.
They are not Pharisees. They are Greek Jews.
They are what kind of Jews?
Greek Jews.
There's no difference between the Jew and the Greek? Huh? See, a lot of heathens shook because we didn't came back into who we are. So now they like, oh, well, yeah, there's no difference between me and you. Stop it. Yes, it is. There's a difference between the Most High's chosen people and any other nation. Paul ain't telling you that the national boundaries have been erased just because you believe in the Messiah. If that's the case, why the hell you devils hang us and burn us all in the name of Christ? There is a difference. You understand? The point being that the people, the Greeks he was writing to were Israelite foreigners. They were foreign Jews. They were Greek Jews. What else? Cyrenian
Jews. Asiatic Jews.
And Asiatic Jews.
Was it Chinese Jews?
Dang. You got Israelites all in Asia, Greece. Cyrene is North Africa. That's in Libya. Remember Simon of Cyrene helped the Messiah carry his cross? But where was he at on Passover?
In Jerusalem, because he was carrying the cross.
Wow. Wow.
So he left Northern Africa to come down.
They left Northern Africa to keep the feast.
Well, not far go up.
Yeah, go further north to Africa. Further north in Africa, should I say, to Jerusalem.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stars all starting to make sense now. Go ahead, Hebrew.
Merrier and humaner folk than their harsh Judaic brethren.
Pontius Pilate knew the difference between foreign Israelites or Jews.
Happy Passover.
You understand? And their harsh Judean brothers. Wow. Wow. The stranger that dwells among you is not the bondman or slave that dwells with you. That's not the same thing. You feel me? And we just read out the scriptures and out of Pontius Pilate real quick and showed you. Somebody, Houston, we have a problem here. All right, let's go to Acts chapter 2.
Well, he's going to Acts chapter 2. Peep this out. So remember, when they say there's no difference between Jew nor Greek, yeah, there is. There's a difference between me and you as a European Greek, but ain't no difference between me and a Greek Jew.
Yeah, because guess what? We're both Israelites.
Right.
Messiah died for both of us. There's a dividing wall. The dividing wall has been torn down, like it said in the book of Ezekiel. We all shall be one stick in the Most High's hand again, not broken.
So they the Romans 11:7.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get to Romans 11, not today, because I know a lot of y'all tap dance around it. I just want to go with Romans 11. We're going to go into the tree and the branches being broke off and grafted in again. You skip right over that again word. Again. What do you mean again?
I mean, you had to be a part of the tree originally.
Everybody's androgynous now. What? This is man and woman. Is that what Paul is saying? Stop it, man. Stop it, please. This is becoming too silly to where people gonna read the scriptures and start denying the New Testament. You got to bring the whole thing into play. Now, historically speaking, Pontius Pilate knew better. He even knew there were such things as foreign Jews that would come up to Israel for the feast days, and they were considered foreigners. And on their way back home, he would hold games for them.
Because they will attend.
And Seneca, his partner, was like, do they come to the game? Yeah, they more merrier or happier and more, he said, humaner, meaning they more into having more fun, basically. They're more like humankind, the rest of mankind. Then they're harsh Judean brothers. The brothers that live in Judea ain't going for it. Like, nah, we ain't doing none of that. But the foreign Jews, because they live in all these lands, they speak these tongues. All right?
Can I ask something?
What?
When those foreign Jews from all over under the heavens come to keep the feast, why we don't read nowhere that the Pharisaic Jews killed them or put them out?
Now you're not gonna read that.
I mean, if doctrine is this big issue that everybody's trying to ride on, definitely doctrine was very different. Pontius knew that.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
Sadducees, Pharisees, Zealots, Sicarii, Messianic, non-Messianic, and those who stayed elsewhere, ain't no telling what the hell they had on the table. You see what I'm saying? Because they already knew Greek Jews were petty at the Colosseum. But Pharisees wasn't killing them and wasn't denying them Passover or denying them from attending the feast or the temple. Wow.
Yeah, real talk.
Wow.
And then trip off this, like my ox say right here, Zafani Habak Yisrael. You have to understand agricultural grafting to understand Romans 11. Exactly.
Exactly.
You can't graft an orange tree into an apple tree. It's impossible. It's not gonna happen.
Two vines of two different trees.
Come on, man, stop it. All right, let's get this right here. Let's get this. Acts 2. Start at verse 1. Watch this. Watch this. Acts chapter 2. Now this makes sense. This used to be broke down, and these were Israelites, and then just mysterious heathens from everywhere else.
That's exactly what the mysterious heathens.
This is how this used to get broke down. Right?
My voice came back.
You'd be like, well, how that don't even make sense? Like, how are these mysterious heathens that have their own gods and just so happen to be in Jerusalem for a feast day? Like, that don't even make sense. Yeah, it's madness. But look, Pontius Pilate even knew.
See, bro, this is why I say the awakened Israelite is still screaming, what about the white man?
Yeah, that makes
sense.
The
awakened Israelite is still screaming, what about the white man? Let me give him a place. But right now, you're starting to see it's going to start unlocking. They wasn't in there eating with you. Listen, you won't find them keeping Passover in the temple. We actually going to hit the law on that. And see what's strange they talking about then.
Man, we got in Exodus 12. We got 3 different types of definitions. And the stranger that's allowed is that 8, 16, and 16 again.
So brother,
the brother, the foreigner, that he must be circumcised. If he want to keep, well, he got to be. All his males must be circumcised. If that's the truth, all his sons, everybody that came with him, so they can keep the feast in your house. Yeah, do y'all understand how important learning the language is? Because without looking up these definitions, you'd have ran right past this. There is, what it say? There is one law for you that is homeborn, and the stranger that sojourneth among you. Come on in, clansmen. You believe in Christ. And the clansman is not mentioned. The stranger is your brethren that is traveling to Israel for the feast, or your brethren that had turned poor and your job was to build them up. The stranger is not David Duke and the clan.
Because he walking in there saying, thanks for the invite and holding this dang on rope.
Mobutu,
right?
Mobutu, come, Mobutu.
Yeah, it's not the clansmen. It is not Idi Amin and them. You feel me? It ain't it's not Jackie Chan. You understand? It's not even the wild man Ishmael. It's not him. It's the Israelites dwelling in them lands that will come back up to the feast. Considered strangers because they took on these languages and definitions. I need you to look up Grecian for me. Look up Grecian. Let's go to Acts 2 and just read that first one. Grecian is in Acts 6 and 1. Let's get this. Acts chapter 2, start at verse 1.
Real quick. I'm going on. Another thing too, it said that his house that came in, that foreigner, that Israelite, his males and him had to be circumcised. So that means possible because they grew in a foreign land. They didn't even do the circumcision law. You see what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. The doctrines are different. But when you do the feast, you got to be circumcised. So if that's being said, that means it's possible that they weren't, which means they gained that idea from where they grew up.
Levites over there, the nations over the land, only get you there. So like it makes sense.
Yeah,
It makes a whole, it makes sense.
So start to unlock. She's out. Go ahead.
Customs ended have been different.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying.
You keep it a Greek game. He like, look, they even keep the Greek game. They come to the game. He like, the women in Judea, like,
No.
They hard.
They ain't going for it. They ain't going.
Timothy had to get circumcised, right?
Father was a Greek. What kind of Greek? Alexander the Greek? A Macedonian?
Or a Jew?
Man, come on. All of it started unloading right now. I apologize for Jacob and Esau brothers. Ox. Well, you want to say Akim? Yes, they are. Christ and Lucifer is too. What does that mean? Shem, Ham, and Japheth are too. What does that mean? Cain and Abel brothers too. Like, what does that mean according to nation and us being mortal enemies now? And according to the prophecy in 2nd Ezra 6, Jacob or Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. That's just what it is. Brothers become enemies. Cousins become enemies in the Bible. Right? Midian was a son of Abraham. Right? The Midianites are those that were aligned against us in Psalms 83. The children of Lot as well. So just because you related in the Bible don't even really, I mean, it don't even look. Joseph and his brothers were related. What did they do to him? So just because somebody claimed they brethren, we talking about, but look, when we dealing with Leviticus and Exodus, we dealing with Israelite brethren. That's what we dealing with. All right. That's right. And Esau have I hated. All right, let's get this. Acts chapter 2, verse 1.
As for it says, if he presented that question, you presented every brother.
Let's get to this. No, I'm gonna get to this. Acts 2. But Acts 2 and 1.
And when the day,
yeah, we gotta get to it, man.
And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues, like as of a fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Ruach, and began to speak with other tongues, as the Spirit gave them utterance. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven.
Now, okay, now let's stop right there. Either we talking about Israelites that were living in every nation under heaven back in Jerusalem for this feast of weeks called Pentecost, or we're talking about Jews and mysterious heathens in Jerusalem. I mean, it's pretty clear once you read it. You did, especially after we just read Pontius Pilate letter about foreign Jews who would come to Jerusalem for Passover and the feast days. Right? So if we just read, there were dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews, devout men, right, out of every nation under heaven. Oh, okay, it makes sense even when we read it historically that these Israelites would come back to Israel. You understand? Will come back to Israel for the high holy days. Makes sense. Let's finish this. We'll get to it. Come on.
Acts chapter 2, verse 5.
Yeah.
And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans?
Galileans, meaning Galilee, right? Now Messiah from Nazareth, Galilee, they followed him. Are not all these that speak Galileans? Not meaning they not Israelites, but they from a certain part in Israel. Like today, if everybody came up here talking with some, I'm here to prove, you'd be like, dang, they from Baltimore. Ain't y'all from B-more, ain't you? Like I'm from North Carolina. The sister talking about North Carolina yesterday, Nikki and them. You feel me? You can tell accents. So you got these Israelites, you understand, that understood a Galilean dialect. And was like, how are we hearing them speak in the tongue in which we were born in? Because all these brothers were not born in Israel. They were born outside of Israel and would travel home for the high holy days. So when they start hearing them speaking their own language, the lands and languages in which they were born in, they said, hold on, aren't these Galileans? Right? Galilee is a certain spot in Israel. All right? Come on, Hebrew.
And how hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born. Parthenians and Medes and Elamites.
Come on.
And the dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea and in Cappadocia.
Now look at this. These are all foreign Jews. Where are they at? They're in Jerusalem for the Feast of Pentecost. As witnessed by this. Look, we just now reading this. We've been said this in Acts the 2nd chapter. We just now reading this, and even Pontius Pilate knew the difference between foreign Jews and their harsh Judean brethren. Right? These are Israelites born in all these different lands. And the power of the set apart spirit was resting on these select brothers that followed the Messiah, and they were speaking the gospel of the good news of him, and they were hearing it. They were hearing the gospel of Messiah spoken in the language of the lands that they were born in, but by nationality, by blood, they were actually Israelites. That should make sense. That should make all the sense in the world. All right, Greek Jews, Asiatic Jews, right? What else to say? All right.
In Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia in Egypt, and in the parts of Libya about
Libya, Cyrenia. We read Cyrenaic Jews, Libya. We just read Asia, Asiatic Jews. He was saying different lands around Greece, Greek Jews. Go ahead.
About Cyrenia and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes.
Jews and proselytes. You was like, well, okay, a proselyte is a convert from another nation. That's where they going next. So are you saying Israelites can't be converted?
That's what this
I thought the Messiah said, unless ye be converted. Who was he talking to?
Israelites.
He was talking to Israelites, man. You did. You had to be converted and learn Messiah. Jews, meaning those dwelling at Judea, right? And proselytes, Israelites that had to be broke off and understand who they are and brought into the faith. Go ahead.
Cretes and Arabians.
Crete is around Greece. And Arabians. Go ahead.
We do hear them speak in our tongue the wonderful works of Yah.
Y'all hear that? You see? Now, they hearing the wonderful works of Yah, or the gospel of his son, right? And they take this miracle that happened at Pentecost and they go back home, right? And that's what Paul get to writing all his letters to. That's what happened, man. And a lot of people don't want to deal with it, but it's the truth. It's the truth. These were Israelites that would come to Jerusalem for the feast days, that understood, that spoke the Greek language or whatever language of the land they were born in. And when the 12 disciples, under the command of YAHUDAHS, the Messiah, they were told, don't leave Jerusalem till you get that power, that Holy Spirit. Pentecost came in, which is the next high holy day after Passover. They get hit with fiery tongues. Right? They don't start speaking gibberish. I should have bought a Honda. Jean-Claude Van Damme. The people, or the Israelites, the foreign Jews that were there, understood what they were saying because they were speaking the gospel, or the good news of the Son of the Most High, in the language of the lands the foreign Jews were born in. Right? If that's understandable, throw a 7 up in the chat. Throw a 7 up in the chat. What verse was you at? Was that down to verse 11?
The verse 11.
Okay, that's it right there. Read that Grecian and we're going to get our prayer off real quick. We're going to keep all these parts down to like 2.5 hours, maybe 2 hours at the most. Then that should make sense to everybody, especially after we just read Pontius Pilate, especially after we just showed the Israelites can be foreigners. right? We read Exodus 2:21 and 22. Moses, as an Israelite, was considered a foreigner in his land. You did. We read Exodus 20 and 10. There's a difference between the stranger that dwelleth among you and your slave. We read Leviticus 25:35 through 44. If you want a slave, you got to buy them from heathens. Your brother that done waxed poor is a stranger that dwell among you. Like all these scriptures line up. All right. Then we just went to Acts 2:1 through 11. You understand? And we just showed that the foreign Israelites would come back to Jerusalem for the feast days. Even Pontius Pilate recognized that, right? And some of the places that he named, we saw in Acts, the 2nd chapter. All 7's on the check. That means understanding is being had.
So this was good for the day.
Yeah, we ain't even scratched the surface yet. Not even scratched.
It's just the foundation.
Yeah, it really is. All right, read that Grecian definition for us. And this is Acts 6:1. Right, the definition of Grecian. We also need Hellenist if one of y'all could pull that out of the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. I don't know if y'all got that. We can look it up on your phone if need be.
All right.
Read Grecian. What is it? H what? Or G?
G 1675. Somebody put that in there. G 1675.
Mina J, my sister. Mina J, you know you a celebrity around here. Ain't nobody ever met you. You a straight celebrity around here.
The J is good though. It's part good. So Hellenist is the first definition. One who imitates the manners and customs of worship of Greece and use the Greek tongue. The kicker, used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands.
Wow.
And speaking Greek.
That is this in the actual concordance? So historically speaking, Israelites who lived in Greek lands and spoke Greek tongues will be considered Grecians? Dang.
Greek-speaking Jews.
Greek-speaking Jews? Read that one more time, brother. Wow.
Hellenist.
Wow.
One who imitates.
One who imitates.
The manners and customs. Like the Negro imitate American customs.
Or just like your fraternities and sororities today.
Yeah.
Everybody's an alpha or kappa, a theta, a sappa.
Phi.
Whatever, you know, just they all Greeks. Is that a guy? That ain't one. That's not a one that I was trying, but y'all see what I'm saying. We can't act like these definitions aren't in the actual concordance, right? We can't act like these things didn't happen historically. They did. They actually happened historically. You understand? Why is this in there? We didn't make this up. Did you write the Strong's Concordance?
No.
What about you?
No.
Well, how long has this Bible been around before us? Thousands of years. So the fact that we decided to go look up the definitions to bondman or manservant, maidservant, and stranger, and see there's a difference between an Israelite stranger, you feel me, and a heathen that's your slave.
We even looked up Ak.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. All right.
One who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks.
So manners, your mannerisms, you act like a Greek. You keep the customs of the Greeks and you worship. We just read about them keeping Greek games in Pontius Pilate. Oh, Houston, we have a problem here now, don't we?
Yo, this shouldn't be hard to see. This is how you know we these people. That's the American Negro today.
It sure is.
We imitate America. We definitely keep his customs. Just 150 plus years ago, Frederick Douglass we didn't even do 4th of July. This year is gonna be the most patriotic, red, white, and blue family wearing, red, white, and blue Boreats, all that. You keep their customs, they worship. You got Sunday worship, white Jesus in your house, bowing the cross, eating crackers and water and wine or whatever on every second and first Sunday. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean?
But we know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
You feel me? Now, this is in the actual concordance. You are Grecian if you adopt their customs, manners, and worship. All right. So then we read Acts 2 and it say, well, these type of people still, even though they were dealing, they still would show up.
Because they knew it was Israel by nation.
Now, but about this. Now this makes sense why Paul said in 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, you can't sit at the table of the Lord and the table of the devil. He told him, like, look, if you don't believe in Mashiach, you got to drop that idolatry and get down with the Most High.
It get deeper, man. It gets deeper.
We saying that when you bring up Revelation.
Go ahead.
He gonna spew you out his mouth.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
A lot of them was up in the churches, but still keeping these other customs.
Yeah.
That's why Paul said, I had to write to you again.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense why Paul is writing all these letters, because he's talking to his people that's just coming out of paganism and customs of lands from which they lived in.
And it makes sense. The reason why YAHUDAHS used Paul.
Look at y'all keep back there excited.
I over here, it's leaking all stuff up though.
And it makes sense. The reason why YAHUDAHS used Paul, a scholar of the law, to use him to be an apostle to the Gentiles.
But what Gentiles were they talking about? Israelites.
But he had to be skillful because they was already they skillful in their other customs. You know what I'm saying? Just like you get an Israelite now today, that's a Greek. You can't tell them nothing. They know where it was founded, by who it was founded by, and all their steps, they moves. You know what I'm saying? So to get you to like a black person that's into the Masonic temple and into masonry, they trained up. It's gonna take like a Judah knowledge to get them off their doctrine. Somebody gets swift with that, you know what I'm saying? Real cold with their swords.
Yeah. How you letting them know, like, look, they, even though they was in the Greek culture and worship and mannerisms, they would still come to Jerusalem and show up at the feast. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 10, you can't drink from the cup of the Lord and the cup of the devil. You can't, because that's what was going on. The foreigners would come back home still because they knew they were. You dig? Let's get this prayer. I'm gonna read that definition. Let's get this prayer off, and we got like 2 or 3 more scriptures, and we gonna just shut it down for part 1. And we coming back. You feel me? We gonna come right on back. This probably gonna be a 5 to 10 part series. You dig? But so far, we done showed how an Israelite can be a stranger. You feel me? In the law, Leviticus 25:35, Exodus 21 through 22. Exodus 2, should I say, verses 21 through 22. Leviticus 25:35 through 44. Exodus 20 and 10 is the difference between the manservant and the maidservant and the stranger that dwelleth among you. An Israelite can be a stranger just simply dwelling in a foreign land. He can be a stranger if he turns poor and he got to live with you, but you can't lend your money or your food out to him on usury, even though he's a stranger living amongst you, Leviticus 25 and 35. Or he could be an Israelite that was not born in Israel, born in foreign lands, speaking foreign languages, right? But would still come to Jerusalem for the feast. And guess who he would have to stay with? You, because you was homeborn. Okay, well, he could keep the feast, but all his males had to be circumcised. Why wouldn't he be circumcised? He was born outside the land. Okay, well, you got to get circumcised then. You know what I'm saying? If you want to keep the feast.
He probably didn't even know that.
It's all starting to unravel. It's all starting to unravel. And none of you Negroes that got these heathens in your assemblies, ain't none of y'all purchased them. None of them have been purchased.
Stop
it. Yeah. In a minute, they're going to be up at that table teaching.
Oh.
Huh? Instructing Zion. All right, think it's a game. Look at the old Pastor Dowell. He got heathens all talking about Shalom. You know, Shalom Israel. You know, my brother Bob. Brother Bob.
No, he do, bro.
Who the hell is this heathen? Brother Bob.
He called with his set apart assembly. He actually got heathens over Israel.
Man, he is going beyond off. Got these heathens instructing Israelites.
They be over there dancing.
Leaning, worshiping, dancing everywhere. I'm white people with Gadara dances.
Yeah. River dancing. I'm Brother Bob.
But listen, hopefully he'll get wind, wake up, and he got to make the change.
Yeah.
Brother Bob.
Now,
I'm Brother Bob.
I commend his community work as far as setting the point, got his people together and ready.
What people?
I'm talking about
yeah, stop it. Stop it.
He off on that.
He's off. All right, let's get this prayer off, y'all. What's up, YAH'KI?
Going on, man.
All right, we all good, y'all. We all good. We facing Jerusalem. If you was living in Israel right now, it'd be 6:16 in the morning. You'd be just getting up. Matter of fact, Shebaniah, YAHUDAHS on here right now. You know what I'm saying? You know, and ask him what time it is. It should be 6:16 a.m. in Jerusalem right now. So if you was living in Israel, you would just be getting up, getting your work day started. So of course, like David said, morning, evening, noon, I'll pray unto thee. You also got your 9th hour prayers in Acts the 3rd chapter, Matthew the 27th chapter, when the Messiah expired on the execution stake. Acts the 3rd chapter was when the heavens were opened up and the brother was healed that was above 40 years old. 3rd hour prayers, that'll be roughly in 2 more hours. You dig? And that's when Peter and them, right with what we was reading in Acts the 2nd chapter. That's when the heavens were open and they got hit with them set apart tongues, and they were speaking the good news in different languages, and the Israelites that heard it, that was born in them other lands, received Messiah. Now they got to go back home, and Paul the apostle and Peter and them got to write letters to them, instructing them, hey, look, you got to stop doing like this. You got to stop walking like other Gentiles. Don't be like other Gentiles in the flesh. Don't be like other strangers. Now you see who they were writing to, because you got scattered northern kingdom and southern kingdom living amongst these other nations. If that makes sense, put a 7 up in the chat. We about to go ahead and get the Yahweh's prayer off in Hebrew, and then we're going to read it in English. All praises, all glory, all honor to the Most High, the owner, creator, and possessor of all things. Repeat after me. Abinu.
Abinu.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Yikadesh.
Yikadesh.
Shimka.
Shimka.
Tabo.
Kabo.
Malkuteka.
Mahuteka.
Yease.
Yeyase.
Ratzonka.
Ratzonka.
Kabashamayim.
Kabashamayim.
K.
Kang.
Baaret.
Baaret.
Etlakim.
Etlakim.
Kukenu.
Kukenu.
Tanglanu.
Tanglanu.
Hayon.
Hayon.
Uslaklanu.
Uslaklanu.
Oh.
Oh.
Kataenu.
Kataenu.
Kamo.
Kamo.
Shelsokim.
Shelsokim.
Gam.
Gam.
Anaknu.
Anaknu.
Lakotin.
Lakotin.
Lanu.
Lanu.
Wa'al.
Wa'al.
Tabienu.
Tabienu.
Lide.
Lide.
Nisayo.
Nisayo.
Ki.
Ki.
In.
In.
Kotsenu.
Kotsenu.
Min hara.
Min hara.
Ki laka.
Ki laka.
Hamam laka.
Amam laka.
Wahabura.
Wahabura.
Wahati beret.
Wahati beret.
Laome.
Laome.
Olami.
Olami.
Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
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 Praise the mighty Yah. That's right. All praises in English. In English. Our Father,
Our Father
in heaven, holy is your name.
Holy is your name.
May your kingdom come.
May your kingdom come.
And your will be done.
And your will be done.
On earth.
On earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day.
Our daily bread.
Our daily bread.
And forgive us our sins.
And forgive us our sins.
As we also. Have forgiven those.
Have forgiven those.
Who sinned against us.
Who sinned against us.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us.
But deliver us.
From the evil one.
From the evil one.
For yours is the kingdom.
For yours is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
And ever.
And ever.
Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
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 Praise the mighty Yah. That's right. All praises, glory, and honor to the Most High. All right. The owner, creator, and possessor of all things, Yah. Oh. All right. All right. We're just going to do a few more. We at 1 hour and 48 minutes. We're going to keep these things between 2 and 2.5 hours. That way y'all can go back and make sure we pull in all the right definitions, right? All the scriptures that anybody got a problem with, like Isaiah 56, we're going to hit in this series. Romans, the 11th chapter, that's going to get hit too. You dig? What other scripture they got a problem with? We're going to go through 1 Corinthians 10 and show you he was talking. Now, he wasn't talking no like regular Corinthians. He had to be talking to Israelites. Ephesians 2. No Jew, no Greek. We're going to deal with all of them. You understand? But something like this, you got to slow roll and take your time. You got to slow roll and take your time and really get into the history, get into context, right? How is anybody gathering and all 12 tribes ain't been gathered? The Most High said he was going to build up the tabernacle of David and restore the breaches thereof. That's all 12 tribes. That the 12 tribes may possess the remnant of Edom and all of the heathen that are called by his name. that we may have the rest of the nations in possession. But the tabernacle of David got to be rebuilt first. See? If you look at any of it, Zechariah 14, when the Most High, when his son sitting as king over the whole earth, those of other nations coming up to keep the Feast of Tabernacle. But that's when we are back on top. Like, how are we gathering anything and our house still divided and broken up?
Okay.
Now I understand why everybody is against the unity, whether they be so-called conscious Israelites or the heathens. Because with brothers starting to come together and sisters starting to come together and talk and sit down at the table and open up these Bibles, you're seeing the process of the tabernacle of David being restored. That scares everybody.
The healing.
You know what I'm saying? You feel me? And it forced you to be hypocritical. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can't deal with that Israelite right there. You dig? But again, you got heathens amongst you. Heathens that have not been purchased.
You know what I think it is, though? To
Mhm.
be honest with you,
Mhm.
I think it's dealing with pride. Like,
No, that's what
down
it
the
is.
top level,
It's one.
a lot of people have been teaching this bullshit for so long, they don't want to admit they wrong and come off their doctrine.
Yeah. That's true. I believe you on that, man.
And
You
the
dig?
people that's hearing this and kind of knows that what we're saying, what the Bible is saying, and the clarification is being brought out, is pride too that they're staying there. Because I remember we used to talk about those camps that the certain camps would be like they'll be man pleasers and they'll just follow the man and stuff like that. And then we start seeing videos of certain of these camps followers getting out of the camps and stuff. And then you can remember, I don't know if it was you or Mally watching and how they looked like they was just all shook and sad and looked like they were sorrowful, wanted to cry, you know what I'm saying? Because they was outside the camp, you know what I mean? And there was a strong spirit on them for them to continue to be in it. But when they got kicked out of it or whatever or not, they started seeing certain things. And it was like a person on drugs coming off the drugs, you know? And I'd see that some of these camps, you know what I'm saying, especially when we're bringing this out right here, people, man, this is easy. My little daughter can realize that, you know what I'm saying? Because truth be told, I was taught that, you know what I'm saying, that some strangers were Israelites and some strangers were heathens, Gentiles or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
It is what it is, bro. You did. I mean, as long as you never get to the point to where you're not willing to receive information, look at it, and shed old baggage and excel. Besides, say you can't put new wine in old bottles. That's all it is. That's the situation you're dealing with. You're dealing with old bottles that can't receive new understanding, new doctrine. That's been there the whole time. It's just blinders have been on. That's all it is, man. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's gonna be blowback. People gonna get mad. You feel me? But it's the truth. You dig? Are we not to speak the truth? Was Ezra in the 10th, were they wrong for telling them, like, man, y'all got to put away y'all strange women and them children you had with them?
Yeah, so now
we establishing reformation. This is what it is. It's the reformation of the kingdom. We establishing government. It's confusion. You feel me? People don't want to deal with it. If you are politically a correct Hebrew, which I ain't, I can give less than a damn. You dig? I gave less than a damn when I was clapping at certain brothers. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a damn now. Like, shit, whatever. What say up the script? You know what I'm saying? Certain things we had to go back and readdress and be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we was tripping with that. You know what? Dang, this is the reason we looked at it like that. But you did. Hey, a higher understanding is coming. Thank the Most High we can receive it.
Right.
You understand? And not just be like, oh, no, just because your old affiliation with whoever. That don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? We can't fall guilty into that same vibration of man pleasing. They tell you in Galatians, the 1st chapter, I wouldn't be the servant of HaMashiach if I did that. I wouldn't be. You feel me? It's just what it is, man. It is what it is. All right, let's go to 1st Maccabees real quick. Boy, Al Sharpton, boy, look like he about dead, boy. Boy, all them years of shucking and jiving. It's about time to pay the piper, oh wow. That's what it is. All right, let's do 1st Maccabees 1. I'm gonna show y'all Southern Kingdom. 1st Maccabees 1, 11 through 15. Right here. Use the pop. First Maccabees chapter 1, we're gonna read 11 through 15. We're gonna show you that when Israel go off and adopt customs of heathens, they become what's called uncircumcised. Uncircumcised.
Where you want me to go?
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11 through 15.
You pushed the wrong button. You just pushed the wrong button. There you go.
Yep, 11 through 15. Then we're gonna show the northern kingdom doing the same exact thing. I may save some of this. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do the Romans 9 and Hosea 1 real quick. And I'll save some more of this for chapter 2. We're just gonna build the whole thing up. We're gonna slow roll it. We don't want to give y'all too much at one time. But just know it's coming.
Give them a chance to go back
and believe it. We're not gonna duck Romans 11, Isaiah 56, none of it. That's some scriptures, boy, they love to hang on to. Anything to hold on to your master. Anything to hold on so you can spit shining shoes. Yeah, I know. One law for you that is homeborn and one law for you that is the stranger that dwelleth among you. You feel me? We went even and showed where the law is prophetic. It's prophesying about a king that had too many wives, right? 400 years before there was a Saul, David, or Solomon. Well, in Deuteronomy 17, Moses talking about a king when we ain't get a king to 400 years after that. Right? Also, if the law, why is the law talking about strangers waxing poor amongst us? Your brother, that's a stranger, waxing poor amongst you. When we all was in the wilderness. Why is it even talking about you that is homeborn in the land and you that that's a stranger that dwelleth among you? When all of us in the wilderness, none of us was born in Israel. The law is prophecy. It's prophecy contained in the law as well, right? And I think right there was the key. You understand, to start unlocking this thing, because when we bring that out, people will be like, "Well, how is it that the stranger or Israelites at this point, when we was not divided, we weren't even scattered at this point?" That's one of the strongholds that has brothers. So your rebuttal would be, "Well, why is it talking about a king in Deuteronomy 17? And how he couldn't have too many horses, too much gold, too much silver, and too many women." What king fulfilled that prophecy or that law? Solomon. Also, now we got in the law where Moses is already provisions for future events that would happen. Well, okay, it ain't hard to see about the homeborn and the stranger that wasn't born in Israel. Prophecy, provisions. Yes, Yahweh in his infinite wisdom dealing with his prophet Moses. At a time when wasn't nobody he was speaking to homeborn. All of them was born in Egypt.
Each and every last one of them.
Wow. Or at a time when your brother wouldn't have been waxing poor amongst you. It wasn't a year of Jubilee, was it? Nah.
19 years short.
Now we got to really slow down and reread this thing. You feel me? And get into these definitions, man. You'll see is a total difference between the stranger that dwelleth among you and your manservant or your maidservant. Those are your slaves that were purchased, right? Those are heathens, right? The stranger that dwelleth among you is your brethren that either came back to Israel for the feast days, even though he was born in a foreign land, spoke foreign languages. You understand? He would be considered a stranger, and he would have to dwell with you, and he could keep Pesach or any of the feasts as long as the men that were with him were circumcised. Oh, hold on. Why wouldn't they be circumcised? They're Israelites, right? Oh, yeah, they wouldn't be circumcised because they were Greek Jews, Asiatic Jews, North African Jews who were not born in Israel.
So didn't have that law in their head.
It starts unfolding. We wasn't making it up. We knew this even before Pontius Pilate. This in Pontius Pilate's book.
So that's a resource.
And a brother that sent me this loved the white man. I'm like, oh, he couldn't have known this was in her. You see what I'm saying? Everything starts unfolding and unlocking. And like, oh, okay, I get it now.
That forced them to level up too. The ones that was keeping them accustomed to come up to the Jerusalem. Like, nah, you gotta get back. You gotta get circumcised in order to keep the feast. They like forced them to level up because when they there, they can't be going off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I even like the way how he headed to where he headed some peace up there anyway.
Yeah.
It forced them to level up and bring their knowledge back home. Eventually, they're like, the hell I'm even standing out here. Let me go get my citizenship in my home.
Yeah, let me get on back home.
I need to get on back home.
Yeah, I need to get on back home. dig? And it makes sense why Paul will write, you can't eat from the table of the Lord or Yahweh the table of devils. Because Israelites, like we read in Pontius Pilate, they will partake in Greek customs after they would leave Passover, going back home. You can't do this and do this. You want to provoke the Most High to jealousy. Now we can see first to the Jew and then to the Gentile. Because the brothers that's at home, that's holding custom, that's under Torah, right? That then kept the house. Yeah, you're going to get hit first before the brothers that live outside the house. And of course, you're going to get hit first.
It makes sense.
Of course, you're going to get hit first.
Because you had direct access. They didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
You had direct
Exactly.
access.
You knew better. You know better. They didn't. All right, let's read this real quick. First Maccabees 1, 11 through 15. And then we're going to read the Romans 9 and we're going to close out, man. First Maccabees 1, 11 through 15. This is to show you the southern kingdom becoming uncircumcised. All right. And it's all scripture, y'all. Scriptures and definitions. That simple. All right. Go ahead. Out.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
What kind of men?
Wicked men.
Right.
Who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us.
Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. Shabbat shalom, not Shabbat, shalom, shalom akiyam. I'm still caught up in this weekend. Shalom akiyam. All right, so trip off this. Read that verse 11 again, my brother.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us.
Trip off that. The very heathen he said that we are supposed to purchase our slaves from. Right? Our slaves are supposed to be from the heathens that are round about us, not your Israelites, not your brethren. Right? So they say, let us go make a covenant with the heathen, which is a problem because we already under the covenant with the Most High. Major league problem, should I say. Breach of
contract.
Yeah. Come on, Ak, let's get it.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Come on.
So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king and gave them license, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen.
Gave them a license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. They went right to the king, the Greek king, right? I give y'all permission to become Greeks. Take on their customs, right? I mean, look, this is before Pontius Pilate was even born. So when he in here talking about Greek Jews, we reading about them right here in the Bible. All right, go ahead.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the custom of the heathen.
Yeah.
And made themselves uncircumcised.
Made themselves who?
Uncircumcised.
Uncircumcised. Y'all see that? Uncircumcised. Now, there's a scripture in the Bible where Paul says, I was sent to the uncircumcision, and Paul was sent to the circumcision. I'm paraphrasing. Has any of y'all roughly, I just paraphrase it, but have you ever heard that scripture before? What about this brother right here? This brother in this phone. You didn't heard that before? You done heard the scripture where it says, where Paul was saying, I was sent to the uncircumcision, and Peter was sent to the circumcision? Yeah, it's in Acts or Galatians or something like that. And they're just roughly paraphrasing, but this is the uncircumcision right here, right? Brothers that took on Greek customs, Greek language, and Greek worship. It says they became made themselves uncircumcised. Now, this has to be a spiritual aspect, right? Because how do you physically become uncircumcised? How do you grow skin back on your foreskin back on your member? How is that possible? You don't. So this would have to be spiritual because you took on Greek customs, Greek worship, and Greek mannerisms. Thus, you become uncircumcised. So the uncircumcision that was being spoken of in the New Testament are actually certain Southern Kingdom Israelites. Certain Southern Kingdom Israelites. That's what this is right here. And made themselves uncircumcised. Go ahead.
And forsook the Holy Covenant. And joined themselves to the heathen.
Yeah.
And were sold to do mischief.
And were sold to do mischief. Right? That should be understandable that quick. If you were Israelite and you decide to go off and become Greek in custom, right, in mannerisms and in worship in the eyes of the Most High, you are uncircumcised. You are uncircumcised. Wow. They're like, well, hell no. They give me Jeremiah the 9th chapter. Let's show it. Let's show it.
Read them first 3 words.
That was First Maccabees 11 through 15.
Read them first few words.
That's where I'm going next after this. That's where I'm going next. Ephesians 2, 11 through 14, brother. I'm going right there next.
And I'm gonna read the verse 11, verse few words, right?
Right, about the first 3 or 4 words.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
Stop right there. You already knew it was about to go off. Wicked men are those who forsake the law.
Yeah.
So it makes sense after this time and time going forward, those same lawless or those who turned their back against the law and made another covenant with another people, breaking the covenant with the Most High, makes sense why all these other Israelites over time now will become more corrupt in the customs of the places where they were born.
No doubt. No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? They
No
left the law anyway,
mm-hmm.
but they still knew they was Israel.
Of course. Of course. That's hence they back in Jerusalem for the feast. But it's mixed worship. They like, we still keep Greek customs and Asian customs and all that. But we still back here for the, and that's why Paul wrote to them, you can't be eating at the table of Yahweh and the table of devils. Don't provoke the Most High to jealousy. You see what I'm saying? Like, you got to be all in or not. All right, Jeremiah 9, let's read 24 to 26 real quick. We got Galatians 2, 7 through 8, and we got Ephesians 2, 11 through 14. And we can, you know what I'm saying, we can end it there real quick. Just wanted to give something real quick. We're going to go over several parts of this. This is something you got to slow roll.
And reteach.
Yeah, you got to slow roll because there's a lot of unlearning. All right, you start thinking the stranger that's dwelling among you are actually heathens, and these heathens are equal with you. That is not the case.
Yeah, Jeremiah 9.
It's not. Yeah, Jeremiah 9, start around verse 24. Jeremiah 9, 24. Yep.
Jeremiah chapter 9.
25 and 20 on down. 25.
Verse 25.
Yep.
Behold, the days come, saith Yah, that I will punish all them which are circumcised with the uncircumcised.
Wow.
Egypt and Judah and Edom and the children of Ammon and Moab and all that are in the utmost corners that dwell in the wilderness. For all these nations are uncircumcised, and all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in the heart.
See, the uncircumcision. Israel is uncircumcised in the heart or in the mind, because you got a spirit to go off and deal with false gods, like we just read in First Maccabees 1, 11 through 15. Now, we ain't made none of this stuff up. You know what I'm saying? We ain't even got to do too much explaining. It's really explaining itself. Outside of us pulling a few definitions. You feel me? There's a difference between your manservant, maidservant, and the stranger that dwelleth amongst you. Period. The stranger that dwelleth among you are not free-willed heathens. It just, you know, I believe in Jesus. Well, the clan do too. Right? The Roman Catholics do too. That's why I asked a brother the other day. He was hating on another Israelite brother. He was like, I don't know if that's my brother or not. I was like, what, the Roman Catholics your brothers? He said, oh, hell no. I said, well, why not? He believe how you believe. In certain aspects, he believes just how you believe. Why he ain't your brother? Oh, it's because of what they do. I said, oh, it's action. Action.
I was in the car.
Oh, I said, well, what has that other brother done to you? Or what has he done to any of these brothers?
According to Torah.
Silence. No, he ended up saying after the silence, he ended up saying nothing. Wow.
This real conversation. I was present.
I'm like, look, you see the sorcery that's been going on? You see the sorcery that's been going on?
And still didn't show the Passover.
You seen somebody earlier today skinning his teeth. From where we used to be at. Skinning his teeth, boy. Teeth was, boy, wide as a mug. I'm like, dang. Brought up an Israelite. I brought up a booger picking heathen that was sitting right next to one of them brothers' wives. Oh well, you know, Most I say, you know, let them, don't forsake him, brother. I say, wow, don't forsake him,
but forsake him,
but forsake your brother.
Forsake your brother.
Wow, well, you don't see what's going on there.
Cool heat.
Hey, you know how people laugh when you call them up in their speech. Yeah, that's how he was laughing, skinning his teeth. You dig? It was ridiculous, man. I was like, okay, man, whatever. I hear it though, whatever. But you know what it is. All right. Ephesians 2:11-14, real quick. We just read about the uncircumcision, right? And then how Israel is uncircumcised in their heart, meaning their mind. They got a mind they're going against. All right, Ephesians 2, real quick.
Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. Mm-hmm. Wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh.
And the what?
In the flesh.
Let's look at flesh up for me. Ephesians 2:11. Trip off this. Now, let's use common sense here. Is he talking about your DNA flesh? Hold on. He said you were once Gentiles in times past in the flesh. Mm-hmm. So either Paul is talking about a change in DNA, meaning you were born Chinese, Jackie Chan, but now you're mysteriously a white man. Mm. Is that what Paul's saying? Yeah. Is Paul saying because a Gentile accepts Christ, he is no longer an Italian?
He turns into an automatic Israelite.
He's not an Asian. What is he saying here?
He's spiritual Israel.
That's another blasphemy. Like, what are you talking about? The Israelites that follow Mashiach or the spiritual Israelites? No.
See how you can admit that though?
And trip off this. Once a Gentile in the flesh. Like, so in other words, you can't be born Asian or born Chinese and die Nigerian. Mm. You can't be born Italian and die Libyan. You see where I'm going with that? So Paul ain't saying like you were once a Gentile in the flesh, like all of a sudden mysteriously your DNA done changed. He ain't saying that. Look up flesh. All you gotta do is look up flesh, and we're gonna apply the definition that applies to what he's saying, and it's going to make sense. Like we have what's called in the Bible works of the flesh. Huh? Don't we? Is that talking about works of skin? Is that talking about works of DNA? Or is it talking about your carnal mind? Now this makes sense then. If it's talking about your carnal mind, now, yeah, you were once a Gentile in your mind because you were doing all type of wickedness. Somebody at the door.
And it makes sense. They automatically switch to you got the works of the flesh, you got the fruits of
the spirit.
To the same people.
Yeah, to the exact same people. Shalom. YAH'KI in the house.
What up, bro?
Please say the Yah. My brother, good to see you, brother. We almost done, bro. We're gonna chop it up in a sec. All right. So look that definition of flesh up. We in Ephesians 2:11. Read that verse one more time for me, out real quick.
Wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh.
Gentiles in the flesh. So you ain't mysteriously morphed or warped into a different nationality. Because of your mindset, you were uncircumcised because of what? You took on Greek customs or Asian customs, mannerisms, worship, all that. That's how you was a Gentile in the flesh in time past as an Israelite. Not because all of a sudden you were some heathen Gentile from Italy and now you believe in Mashiach and now you Nigerian. And that's not what Paul is saying. Based off your mannerisms, customs, and worship, you niggas was acting like Gentiles. That's all he's saying in Ephesians 2:11. He ain't saying because you Irish and all of a sudden you're from Nigeria. That's not what he's saying. All right, being in time past a Gentile in the flesh. What that say right there? That definition. And we gonna. This is the definition of flesh in Ephesians 2:11, and we're gonna apply the definition that matters. Simple. Come on, Ak, let's get it.
G4561.
Yeah.
G4561.
Mm.
Sarx, flesh,
Mm.
the soft substance of the living body,
Oh,
which covers the bones and is permeated with blood.
so we talking about this? You were once a Gentile in this? If that's what we talking about, then he's saying once you believe, you can just switch your DNA and your nationality.
You can switch that soft substance.
Is that what Paul was talking about? Jackie Chan can be Irish now. Bruce Lee can be from the Congo. I think we know better. All right. What else to say?
Second definition. Let's see if this applies.
Mm-hmm.
The body of a man used of natural or physical origin, generation, or relationship. Born of natural generation.
Keep going.
The sensuous.
Boy, you can't read, boy.
Boy, just
sensuous. Come on.
the sensuous nature of man.
The sensuous nature of man. Go ahead.
The animal nature.
That's what it's talking about. Mindset. Just like we just read in 1 Maccabees 1:11. The brothers became uncircumcised because they took on the sensuous nature of Greeks. Animal nature.
I'm not real good with sensuous.
Y'all see that? Well, go. So go read that again. The sensuous what?
The sensuous nature of man. The animal nature.
The animal nature. Going in the mindset. So now we know that's the definition that Paul was talking about when he write to Ephesians. He's not talking about you can switch your DNA.
The animal nature with craving, which incites to sin.
Which incites to sin.
Wow.
Yeah. Now we
get menstrual women give.
But true about this. Now we getting somewhere. Now we can read this again. Ephesians 2:11. One more time.
Wherefore, remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh,
or Gentiles according to your mindset. All right, go ahead.
Who are called uncircumcision.
Called who?
Uncircumcision.
Well, come on.
By that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands.
Wow. Now we just read about uncircumcised Israelites. Jeremiah 9:25-26. 1 Maccabees 1:11-15. We just read it. So who is Paul talking about? And historically speaking, what happened in the Maccabees happened 150 to 200 years before Paul even had to write this to the Ephesians. So who was he talking about? If you can't change your DNA, he would have to be talking about Israelites, you understand, that took on Greek customs, worships, and mannerisms that YAHUDAHS died for. That's why there's no Jew and no Greek.
Who were one circumcised.
Yeah.
We tried that one.
Not Jimmy Swaggart and Kenneth Copeland. All right, go ahead.
That same blue letter on the bottom is a note in Colossians 2:18. Colossians 2:18. It says, the now sarx is used in the grave by the flesh.
You can't. Why you reading low? Read up.
I am. I'm doing that all day.
Yeah, come on, bro.
Note in Colossians 2:18, the noun sarx is used in the phrase by his fleshly mind.
Fleshly.
Colossians 2:18 said by the mind of his flesh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So read Colossians 2:18. I'll read it for you. It goes, nope. Let no man beguile you of your reward in voluntary humility and worshiping of angels, intruding into those things which have not seen, then he popped up by his fleshly mind. So
yeah, the mindset.
All about your
Great
mind.
witness.
Yeah, the works of the flesh.
Right.
Those that are in the flesh cannot please the Most High. What do you mean in the skin? No, those that are operating in the carnal mind.
Right. It speaks about the renewing
of the mind.
Yeah.
Right. The Lord is spiritual, so if you carnal, you can be flesh. Right.
And that's what Paul battled with.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why Paul wrote that seven.
So then you're a heathen.
You're a heathen.
You're a heathen.
You're an Israelite heathen.
That's Paul's entire teaching.
Yeah.
His entire teaching.
Yeah.
The battle with the flesh and spirit.
Yeah.
Changing from your old pagan ways.
Right.
Now it makes sense. There's no Jew, there's no Greek, or the book of Romans was not written to Caligula Caesar. It was written to the Israelites in Rome. Now look, these same Israelites would travel to Jerusalem for the feast days, like in Acts, the 2nd chapter, strangers of Rome, right? Even though they would call them the Roman customs, they said right here in Pontius Pilate letters, foreign Jews would leave Jerusalem and go home after the feast days, and he would hold games with them. But their harsh Judean brethren wasn't dealing with the games, showing you that they went into the customs.
Now you can see why Paul boasted in his office.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
Where was Paul from again? Tarsus.
Let him finish his thought. You saying what? Go ahead.
I'm just saying what you understand why he boasted. He's still boasting in his mission.
Yeah.
He's still, you know what I mean? Like these are the cast off of our people y'all don't want to deal with. I'm gonna deal with it, and I love it.
Yeah.
Because of my YAHUDAHS said what? Go not into the way of the Gentiles, but rather
to the lost sheep.
I'm not sent but unto the
lost sheep of the house of Israel.
So that was my mission, and Paul picked that up.
Yeah, Paul picked it up and kept banging with it.
Sounds like Israelite black liberation. Right?
They found out.
We're going down to 14. All right, come on, let's get it out.
That at that time ye were without Christ. That at that time ye were without HaMashiach, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel.
Now you were aliens, right? Because when we looked up that stranger, it said lacking inherited rights. You were born outside. You weren't home born. You were born outside the land and would travel home, even though you were dealing with your other customs. You still would travel home to keep the feast. Understand? And you would have to be lodged by brothers that lived there. Like if we go to Israel, we got brothers that live over there. They would have to lodge us. And we could keep the feast being strangers, caught up in all our foreign customs as long as all our males were circumcised.
Even now in captivity, outside the land, we still we house each other.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Doc.
And strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without Elohim in the world. But now in HaMashiach, Yahushua, ye who sometimes were far off,
who sometimes, not always, were far off. Ye who were sometimes afar off, not always. Sometimes, because our people went off hundreds of years before this. Go ahead, Doc.
Made nigh by the blood of HaMashiach, for he is our peace, who hath made both one, and have broken down the middle wall of partition.
The middle wall of division, right? He had made us one and had broken down the middle wall of division, that partition and wall. Right now, is this prophecy somewhere? Was this spoken of? That two sticks will become one? Did you finish that down to 14, bro? Go ahead.
Between us. That was it.
That between, okay. Go ahead, out.
On that the alien.
Going to Ezekiel 37.
On that alien part, right?
15 to 17.
Word meant like he said to estrange away. Possibly and figuratively to be a non-participant. Alienated, be alien, right? So then I look down in the Bond Expository Dictionary of the New Testament, Bond, and it says, Part C says, from God himself, the word is used of Israelites in the Septuagint of Ezekiel.
Wow.
Ezekiel 14:5, and strain.
Wow.
Goes there, click on Ezekiel 14:5, that I may take the house of Israel in their own heart, because they are estranged from me through their idols.
Wow. There it is. Hey, bombs over Baghdad, brother. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
You lose something being outside the land.
Yes.
Right? Your children, because what they become accustomed or familiar with their surroundings, as you said earlier. You know, so when you start, it becomes even now if someone's doing something wicked and it's continually going on around, you become numb to it. So it's not bothering you as much.
Right.
Right.
No doubt. Hey, y'all, we're gonna do plenty of parts of this. Yeah. 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 Moving towards Zion, all of it, man.
Oh, keeping what with Zion?
That's what's up, man. Yeah, so
So
look,
you'll be on Zion time frame, right?
look, let's finish this off. Go ahead, man. You're good.
Ezekiel, verse 6. Ezekiel 14:6. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus says the Most High Power, Yahweh, repent and turn yourselves from your idols and turn away your faces from all your abominations. Verse 7. For every one of the house of Israel, all of the stranger that sojourneth in Israel, which separated himself from me, and set up his idols in his heart, and put up the stumbling block of his iniquity before his face, and cometh to a prophet to inquire of him concerning me, I, Yahweh, will answer him by myself.
Oh, you don't want to go out there, Papa Dog.
Boy, you know, it'd be wild. It'd be wild how you read. It'd be wild how you read through them scriptures. You done read that plenty of times, like thinking something else. Like you pulling it out just to rebuke idolatry. You ain't tripping the whole time. He just called Israel some strangers that separated himself. That's wow, man. Wow, man. All right, so look, let's Ezekiel 37 real quick. Let's just finish this off. We're gonna do a whole bunch of parts of this. I'm gonna keep it short. All right, 15 through 17. Ezekiel 37, 15 through 17. We just read Ephesians, the 2nd chapter, that said he done broken down the middle wall of the partition. You understand? That made us one. There's no difference between you and them. Not because so-called Greek clansmen that accepted Christ. Like there's no difference. There's no difference because both sets are Israelites. And Messiah came and died for both. That we may be one stick in his hand again. That was all prophecy, man. Wow. All right, let's finish it off.
Ezekiel 37, verse 15. The word of Yah came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it. For Yehudah and for the children of Israel is companions. Then take another stick and write upon it. For Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel is companions. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand.
Yeah, that's that middle wall of partition that's been broken down. You feel me? One last one, Romans 9, because he ain't gonna try to take you here. He's the God of the Gentiles as well. Let's read it just real quick. And the whole Hosea 1, 10 through 11. Romans 9. We're gonna read 23 to 24. This bombs over Baghdad right here. Romans 9. Yeah, I mean you can, I was gonna get all of them, but just give me Romans 9. Give me Romans 9, 23 through 26. Romans 9, 23 through 26, and then we're gonna precept it with Hosea 1, because Paul quote Hosea. Who are the Gentiles in Romans 9 he talking about? And so if you keep reading it all the way through chapter 10 and chapter 11 with the same mindset, it'll start making sense about the wild olive tree and who grafted in the what and the broken off branches. Where did he get that parable from? Jeremiah 11:16. Right? And then in Romans 11, he said he can graft them in again. We skip over the word again. Again. What do you mean graft them in again?
It was grafted once before.
What do you mean graft them in? What do you mean the ministry of reconciliation? How do you reconcile with something that you've never been a part of? He has given unto us the ministry of reconciliation, but he only know Israel. So how is he reconciling with heathens? if he never had married heathens? Come on, man. There's so many mysteries if we just slow down and look up definitions, man. United.
That's because it's division.
Yeah.
It's a united.
Yeah, we supposed to mark them that cause division.
Right.
That's scripture say mark them actually and avoid them. Yeah. You got to mark them.
Because they rebuilding their petition wall that was torn down.
Exactly. And
these are people that's keeping you from kingdom bound. Plus, we are at our best whenever we together. Every other nation know that. We at our worst, our weakest when we not together.
Yeah, we divided. They pick you apart, shoot you right out the water. You ain't talking about nothing. You divided.
You strong, but you ain't shit.
Man, look, man, you can call look. You brothers about that brunity? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I don't know whatever you talking about. Stay divided and dealing with booger picking heathens. They can walk right in and sit right next to your wife right there. Nah, not down here. It's not happening. It's not happening. All right, come on, let's get it done. Romans 9. Romans 9, 23 through 26. And y'all, if we lying, like look up all these definitions we pulled and say, no, that don't mean that. It mean this.
Playing part.
Like rebut every scripture. Don't just say y'all going off and y'all, teaching whatever. Just go through this whole lesson. We made it short for a reason. Look up every definition, go through every scripture and say this really means that. Yeah, bro. All right, Romans 9, 23 through 26. Let's end it.
And that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory, even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only.
Not of the Jews only, right?
But also of the Gentiles.
Now, somebody will stop you right there. I watched Vocab Malone attempt this one time. He got slaughtered by some Israelites. They like, oh, no, keep reading. They destroyed that heathen. I'm talking about he was like, oh yeah, Romans 9 and 24, and he thought the brothers wasn't studied up. Oh man, they picked him apart so quick. It was poetic. Right. It was poetic. You feel me? And I was like, I know the brothers are gonna make them keep reading, and they did. Right. So Paul explains himself. Okay, they say not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. Right. Next verse. Right. And it's a question mark. Right. Go ahead.
As he said also in OC.
In OC, that's Greek for Hosea. Okay. Go ahead.
I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living power.
So the children of the living power. So is he talking about your slave master right here? Because it say Gentiles. Without you going to precept and bringing up the prophecy of Hosea that Paul quoted himself, you'll be in the lost worlds, right? Let's go to Hosea 1. Hosea 1, 10 through 11, and then I need Hosea 2 and 23. We'll end it we'll end it right there for the day. We'll end it right there for the day. Don't never let nobody take you there and say, see, this is talking about the clansmen. This is talking about the slave master. Not just the Jews only, but the Gentiles. Well, who are the Gentiles you talking about? That's the whole point. Who are the uncircumcision? Who are those which will call not as people, but they should be called the children of the living God? Who is he talking about? All these scriptures, Israelites can be called strangers. There's foreign Jews, according to Pontius Pilate, even him. And we've been on this way before Pontius Pilate, before I even read this. I was prepping another lesson the other day and ran into this about the political assassination of YAHUDAHS, the Messiah, right? And I go in here to the section where it says arrest of Jesus, page 161, and Pontius Pilate here talking about some foreign Jews. They are Greek Jews, Cyrenian Jews, and Asiatic Jews, merrier and humaner folk than their harsh Judaic brethren. Wow. Wow. You reading this New Testament without proper understanding of history and proper context and just definitions and language, you're going to destroy yourself. You're going to might be back with Jimmy Swaggart and Kenneth Copeland. It's going to destroy your whole understanding. So who was he talking about? Hosea 1,
verse 7 through 9.
10 through 11. We had the last two verses.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the number of Hosea chapter 1, verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the number of children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them.
Don't stop right there. Them. Who's the them he talking about?
The children of Israel.
I'm just saying, he just read it.
Just read it.
Real quick, man. The name in itself, bro. This is what like blows my mind. What people don't get. Our name in itself represents a bloodline. We are the children of Israel.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not the children of Ham. We're not the children of Japheth.
Right.
You understand? We're not the children of there's a name and a lineage that is being represented here. And how can this be twisted to now represent all people that believe when it lets you know that this is specifically talking about the
children of Israel. Yeah. So the them we talking about. I mean, if you got past third grade in school, if there was I identify the them, circle the them in the previous sentence. Right. You ain't got no other option. Yeah. What is the subject? What is the subject that's being represented here? You have to circle children of Israel, right? In the place where it was said unto them, go ahead.
Ye are not my people.
Come on.
There it shall be said unto them.
Them, go ahead.
Ye are the sons of the living God.
So Romans 9:24, the Jews and Gentiles that Paul was talking about, you understand, are talking about the entire nation of Israel.
Listen, that wall of perdition was a real serious thing. You know what I mean? As far as if you're not operating in the land of Israel, if you're not operating under these particular sets of beliefs, then you are a stranger, you are a heathen, you are an enemy. Yeah. You are outside of us. And YAH'KI came here for that.
Yeah, and broke that down.
It was one of his greatest missions. You know what I mean? To come here to bring it back after we broke it back in Kings. Yeah. Back in the book of Kings, we broke it, and he came hundreds of years later to bring it back. Go ahead.
You know what? I was speaking, was finna speak on that. Look, when you sit here and all these Israelites, all these different nations, and we know now they had all these different customs, but when they still came home, we still dealt with our stranger brothers. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Is anybody see what I'm saying? Your doctrine did not stop me from dealing with you. Right. Your doctrine did not stop me from housing you. That didn't stop me from being a brother to you. You know what I'm saying? That's because that's the biggest thing we humping over right now. It was the biggest thing we was humping over back then. Well, is it not for you to deal with those? I'm from Samaria. You know what I'm saying? The women at the well or whatever.
Love and unity is how you gain the brother.
Exactly, man. Look, how did you get them people out of these heathen ways and manners? You had to deal with them. How you get Zion Lex to go from non-Messianic to Messianic? You got to tarry with
right, or at least starting to see something.
You know what I'm saying? And we don't know what the end game going to be. We don't know what the end game for none of us. Even those who believe not might fall off. You see what I'm saying? But the thing is, the doors of communication and brotherhood has to be there.
You're talking about the fall off though, right? But the fall off begins with the separation.
Yeah.
When you are operating in the truth of the body in the camp, if people on Facebook kill me, how can you give somebody advice to say, be by yourself? That got to be the craziest advice you can ever give somebody. Yeah. No sooner than you alone, now it's more easier to separate from the customs in which you know you're supposed to be doing, because there's no accountability. Yeah, no one to say, yo, man, you going on.
In the middle of war. Yeah, you cool be by yourself.
Right.
I'm gonna get hit.
Right.
Shut out the water.
Boy, blew out the water.
Get your top hit real quick. But look, what he say? Not forsaking the assembly of themselves, as some others do. You see, man, I'm telling you, bro. It's a lot of sorcery being spewed in Israel. Man.
Are better than one.
Yeah.
Rather have $2 than one.
Yeah. So in a place where it said unto them, ye are not my people, there should be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. So Paul was not talking about David Duke from the Klan. He was not talking about Jackie Chan or that's it. He wasn't talking about any of that. And y'all, that was just part one. It's plenty of more scriptures. We're gonna get into Exodus 12 about who can't eat of the Passover. You feel me? And what stranger can eat of the Passover. We got that too. You feel me? You're gonna see the strangers that can are the same strangers that Moses called himself when he was in Midian. You dig? So we went over a lot today, man. Went over definitions, showed how the law is prophetic too. It's prophetic. Like in Deuteronomy 17, it's talking about a king and how he can't multiply horses and silver and gold and too many women. That was a even though it's a law, that's a prophecy of Solomon. That's Solomon. Now Moses never met Solomon.
Right.
So why is that law in there?
Right.
You dig? One law should be for that is homeborn and for the stranger that sojourneth among you. Well, that was in the wilderness, he wrote that. And none of them were even born in Israel.
Right.
All of them were born in Egypt. The law is prophetic. It already knew we would be scattered and brothers would start coming back home for feast and all that. Or the brother that waxed poor around his brother and you had to build him up. You feel me? You couldn't lend him your money on usury or, it's none of his food on usury. And guess what? He was called a stranger. You see? So again, man, it's like we have to really slow down and re-examine what it is we're reading, get into your Hebrew, pull definitions out. You understand? And get into the history. You got to get into the history and context of what's being said so you can have understanding. Other than that, Dylan Storm Roof can come right that damn door and sit right next to your woman and then kill 9 of us up in her. You feel me? All that wouldn't even happen if what? You can't come up in her. Simple as that. Establish order.
So you saying
even you just saying that just making that it's just little things that you don't pay attention to, like you were saying. Well, a lot of these laws was given to us, but it wasn't executed until we was actually in the land.
That's right.
And that was just like the year of Jubilee.
Yeah.
50 years. We wasn't in the wilderness for 50 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
We was only there for 40 years.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So a lot of these laws was just laws that we was going to have.
They were already in the books.
In the land.
Already on the books. Provisions were already made because the Most High in his divine wisdom was dealing with his prophet Moses. You feel me? And I already knew Israel would ask for a king. 1 Samuel the 8th chapter.
Right.
I already knew. He said, I'm going to scatter y'all in the corners. I already knew we would be scattered. Take on the customs of heathens and all that. Lose your culture. You already knew it was already prophesied to happen.
India said, and turned away his heart.
Yeah.
So what's the law? Deuteronomy 7 did with the heathen women who turned away your heart.
Yeah.
What Solomon did?
Yeah.
None of heathen women turned away his heart.
Makes sense. Makes sense, man. So y'all, if y'all got to understand on the live chat, go ahead and throw a 7 up in the chat. We about to pray out. Jerusalem is that way. We got my brother YAH'KI. Please said he in town. So we about to go ahead and fellowship with the Ak while he here for a few hours. You know what I'm saying? Garments of vengeance. The brother, that's responsible for all this here. You know what I'm saying?
We had on for the
crown I had on for the Pesach. Come on up here and holler at your people. YAH'KI, man. It's my brother, man. Good brother. I banged with this brother in OKC last year. You dig, on the streets. My brother's in town. We're going to go ahead and, welcome my brother in the STL.
Yo.
The camera right up there. Watch out, Mark. Move out the way.
Good.
Going off, son.
All praise and glory to the YAH'KI, Shema Mashiach, Yahushua, man. I just came back from Cleveland, right? Shout out to the brothers up there.
Hallelujah.
I am Israel, AOC, Lions of Israel, man, and all the brothers and sisters that came out. It was a great and wonderful, successful event. You know what I mean? And there's no way I'm going to be driving through the STL and not stop and holler at my brethren, man.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So, the Most High is great, and he's doing a great and wonderful work out here, man. To see the growth, to see the development of what's going on here, it's a wonderful thing, man. And may the Most High bring his face and continue to bring his face to shine upon all of you. And this work is going out, man. You know what I mean? And
history.
We have to stay strong. Listen, man, this whole lesson is about unity, figuring out a way how to come together. You understand? It's not my job to rule your house. Okay, you rule your house, right? As we continue to do the work of the Most High and execute what is required of us as men in these last days, man. Bring forth this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Most importantly, the proper example, man, to the world.
That's right.
From YAH'KI.
Hallelujah. Excellent words, my brother. All right, y'all. We're gonna face Jerusalem. It's toward that corner right there. We're gonna do Yahweh's prayer. We're gonna do it in the Hebrew, then we're gonna do it in the English. You know what I'm saying? Pray on out. If y'all know what I'm saying, repeat after me. If you don't, just keep it in your spirit. All right. Let's go ahead and roll and get on the bottom here, man. Let's fellowship with our brethren while we got them within the city gates. All right. All right, how we looking? We all good? All right, let's get it. Abino, Shabbat Shemayim, Yikadesh, Shimka, Tabo, Malkuteka, YAH'KI, Ratzonka, Kabashamayim, Cain, Baaret, Etlakim, Kukenu, Tainlanu, Hayo, Uslaklanu, Katae, Kamo, Shel Shokim, Gam, Anaknu, Lakotim, Lanu, Wa'o, Tabienu, Lide, Nisayo, Ki, In, Kotzenu, Minhara, Ki Laka, Hamam Laka, Wahabura, Wahati Beret, Laome, Olamin, Amen, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, praise the mighty Yah, Yahu, all praise and glory now to the Most High. Until the next time, y'all, that's just part one. Part two should be coming within a couple days or, tomorrow, however we're going to play it. The difference between biblical strangers and heathens. Part two. I pray y'all got some edification. May the Most High be glorified and may you all be edified. You understand? Stay strong. We ain't got long. Long live the King of Kings. Yahoo. Hallelujah.